Welcome to Truth UnCompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by sourcevibrations.com. I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken. So it has been written, and it is done.
You have entered into a dimension of truth, where time does not exist and illusions are shattered. The journey of truth is intense. The journey of truth will set you free. Consider this a warning as you enter the dimension of truth uncompromised.
All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is October 10th. We are concluding tonight our series, The Lands of the Giants. This is our 20th show. We apologized last week. It was wild. You all, nobody could get in. You know, folks were trying to call in. Yeah, it was just a hot mess. So that's why we didn't have the show last week, but that's okay. We shall continue on. So I'm looking forward to tonight's show. Again, the source of reference material, I highly encourage the family to get this book. The Ancient Giants Who Ruled America, The Missing Skeletons and the Great Smithsonian Cover-Up by Richard J. Dewhurst. That is just one of the source materials. We also use The Giant Cities of Bashan, Bafhan, and that talks about a European gentleman's journey in, I want to say it was 1865, where he went on to Europe to retrace the biblical steps in the Bible. And during that journey, he started uncovering literally the tombs, the ancient temples, castles of the giants over in Europe. And what's interesting about that particular book, and you can get that book online via PDF, but what's interesting about that book is during his journey, he could literally tell you, based on the remains he was finding far as architectural remains, the different civilizations. And the Giants civilization was the oldest and the most sturdy. So in some cases, he was saying, you saw the Greeks and you saw the Romans civilization, and their architecture or structures had fallen down, but the giant structures were still standing. Now, interestingly enough, in that book, if you're really into like the biblical chronological order, et cetera, then that is definitely a good read for you because he kind of timelines his journey and shows you through those archaeological findings that he was seeing, not only the different stories that quote quote happen in the Bible, but kind of all of the wars that went on. So very, very fascinating. And as we were doing that particular book, we just kind of noted as a team, so my co-host, on how the different invasions happened via these different rulerships labeling themselves the children of Israel. And then we also, once again, as we told you during this series, that those biblical folks like the Noahs and the Moses, they were also considered giants. And the giants that they were battling were still much taller than them. So you can call them the Titans. So I highly, highly recommend that. What really blew us back in that particular book, because we didn't get through that entire book because we got on the path of the Americas, but the portions that we did get through, what blew us back was the fact that there was an admission by the author of that book that the children of Israel were not indigenous to those lands. Okay? According to the scriptures and also the eyewitness account of this gentleman going over there doing the journeys, they were giving orders from their God to take these people's land, the indigenous people's land. And as those invasions were happening, so came down the particular temples of those indigenous people of those lands. And in some instances, and we know this is true just all around the planet, basically, when a civilization is taken over and they want to install a new religious belief or whatever the case may be, they're going to always strip away the loser, the culture that has been overthrown per se. overthrow their spirituality and install their own. So very, very interesting thing. We also caught in that particular reading, we saw a lot of things related to the concept of commerce. Very, very interesting language was used throughout that book to really give you a feel from the system that we see today as far as commerce, fiat, how things are set up, how you as a sovereign person come under the rulership of someone else. That was also kind of pointed out in the book, but as you're reading the book, you have to understand and have a little bit of knowledge of those things to get it. And so my co-host and I, we kind of came to the conclusion that the Roman Empire is just that. It's an empire that continues on to this day. So everything that we see today is a result of that Roman Empire overthrowing indigenous people's land and installing their particular Babylonian system, which is a system that is out of step. It is not in step with natural law, and hence why it always fails. So I just wanted to give you a recap on those materials. So if you want to continue on reading those things, you have points of reference. So with that said, I'm going to bring on my co-host. But before I do that, I'm going to bring on Brother Sean and Sis Sandra. I do want to send a shout out to Brother Lex Will. Couple of times this week, he has featured our series when we did the Black Nobility. So I just want to send him a shout out and hearty thank you for that. And he was even thought that was so sweet of him to encourage his listeners to tune in to us as well. So I do want to give him a shout out for that, and just to let him know he is only the second male or man to ever do that publicly with this show. And when I bring on Brother Sean, he can attest to it. We know that a lot of people that have their own platforms and shows listen, and they take a lot of the material and build on it, and which we have no problem with that, because that's why we do what we do. But it's just really great to know that people are respectful to give people their due credit, which is why I am a staunch believer on this show. I honor people, I respect people to give them their credit where credit is due. So thank you for that, Brother Lex. The only other person to do that, of course, is Seven Bomar. He's always a guest on the show at least once a year, and he always features us as well. All righty. So with that said, we are going to bring on our host, Brother Sean and Sis Sandra. Let me bring on Brother Sean. Peace and love, brother. How are you?
Wholeness and power, sis. I'm well. How about you?
I'm well. Good to hear your voice. We finally got on the air, huh?
Indeed. They can't stop us forever.
Oh, no. Absolutely. That's just temporary, because end of the day, the information is going to get out regardless. So, All right. Let me bring on Sis Sandra. Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Oh, peace and love to you, sis. I'm doing good. And to the family, hello. I hope everybody is well. It was really hard to get in last week, and we didn't do it. And I'm running today. I'm going to switch phones in a few minutes.
Oh, okay. I know, right? So you got to have a backup to the backup to the backup. But
yeah,
it was
know, because they just blocked the calls coming in. Period. I couldn't even dial the number.
Yeah, it was wild because I initially was able to open the board. I saw one caller on, but I just could not start the show no matter what I did. So I tried to call in just as a regular listener and couldn't get in. And that's when I told Brother Sean, I'm like, can you get in? He's like, nope. I'm like, all right, well.
Nope.
One of those things.
You couldn't complete the number as dialed.
Yeah.
That's what it kept saying, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I'm running today. I'll be calling in on the other line I have in a few seconds here. But I'll say hello at this moment right now, and then I can switch over in a few minutes.
Okay, no problem. Just remember to get back in the queue so I can see you and bring you back on. All right, now, family. I know. So that's 2 weeks that we got for go ahead on with the fuckery. So, sis, I'll let you switch your phone or whatever.
I can do that right now.
Okay, cool. So what you have?
Well, you know what? It's so much junk. I mean, this is so-called justice, that just us, with that one thing in Dallas. And then this Trump stuff, these people then gone brain dead and just wondering why they want to impeach somebody when they've been doing this to countries forever. So that's how they got to be the United Snakes. You remember that? That's your favorite thing. So, I mean, who? All these people, they want to impeach somebody. They got to go back to the beginning of time for this country because they've been doing this to people forever. But, somebody got mad and want to report somebody. So, what can I say? But the one I wanted to bring up is about the primates and the sulfur. When you're talking about the craziness that's going on, and I kind of looked up some of the stuff. I didn't get a chance to finish because I've been on the run. But the people, they're going whacked out right now. They said it's the cysteine instead of the tridenosine, I think it was, that they have instead of what we have. And so I decided to look up the composition of a primate, which is a monkey, gorilla, orangutan, and all that kind of stuff. Do you know their base is sulfur? Their base is sulfur. So these people have the sulfur of the primate, like the primates. And so with the cysteine and the sulfur that young man was saying in his DNA, that's leading to the insanity on this planet, where the people just shooting everybody. 9-year-old kids are getting charged with murder. 8-year-old kids are getting charged with murder. I'm like, okay, we done lost something here. When can a kid be a kid? But anyway, so I was just looking at that and seeing that it is from that R1B1 DNA level because they passed on the sulfur to the people. And with their cysteine, that makes them kind of off the hook, crazy. So, but, since everybody is fighting everybody in Washington, folks is killing everybody on the streets, and people are going, whoa, what's going on? There you got it.
Yeah, it's interesting because, of course, that whole the lady walking up in the supposed apartment and shooting the man, I'm like, oh, okay then. Here we go with another racial thing, trying to get the people all hyped up. It's a Psyops, and sure enough, when they get to court and that whole spectacle and, folks just going on and on Facebook. And, bottom line, it was a psyop. And then, now the young man who supposedly and allegedly testified wind up murdered. So.
Yeah, the drug deal.
Yeah. So I already know what time all of that crap is. Like I've always said, they use the same script, they use the same formula, and it's all a distraction, once again, to keep you not focused on what you should be focused on, which is to clean up your own spiritual temple. Make sure that you're pay attention to what's going on from the environmental changes that are given to us. Okay, so, you know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Not only are we in trouble with the environment, we're in trouble with people who hate us now. Because, you know, in California, I don't know, they're doing these blackouts, right?
Yeah, I saw that. No, I couldn't wait to get you on to talk about that.
and these blackouts is because the winds are going 70 miles an hour. We've had the Santa Ana winds since I almost drew breath. So what's the deal? What's the deal? What is the real deal?
What you say, what's the difference?
Yeah, what's the difference? What's the real deal? So when I was a kid, they had rolling blackouts all the time. We had the Santa Ana winds. But I was remembering something. All of a sudden it popped in my head. In the World War I's and II's and Britain and all that kind of stuff, you know what they used to practice? Blackouts. They used to practice blackouts. So, you know, they have Tesla stuff, so they can do the electricity. So why are you doing that? And, you know, they're fighting with China over this China Sea land, this, you know, that land they put out there in the China Sea, and China is threatening to fight back. So now they're practicing what? Blackouts. So So it may not be the real deal, but they had when the cities were attacked, when Britain was attacked, when America was attacked, they had blackouts. So are they planning for that? They have something up their sleeve. And Double 7 came on with a video, not here, I have it in myself, and he was talking about the Marines. On active and reserve have been activated for this country.
But I don't think it's for war. I think that's the cover story that they're using. It is for the catastrophe, well, in their eyes, catastrophe, because the vibratory rate is rising. And the plasma events, you can see the shit in the sky if you're paying attention. So, yeah, and I didn't say it. I said since last year, 5G is not what people think it is. It was them trying to upgrade the system because they've been drawing energy off of the natural planet, but turning around and charging us for it. That's a separate story. But they were trying to upgrade their system or the grid in order to keep up with the rising vibration. So if the vibration is rising, the magnetic poles are moving, they're going to do them damn blackouts. Because that stuff's going to catch on fire and it's going to shut it down totally. So, yes, they're going to use the smoke screen of wars breaking out because if you notice, as you said, California is doing the blackout, and then you wake up the next morning and they talk about, you know, troops being pulled out of Syria. This is a bad thing. War being broken out. All of that, I am telling you, all of that is a smoke screen for what is really going on.
It is. It's a smoke screen because we've been having these Santa Anas ever since I've been in this country, this state here, and I'm like, What's new? Nothing. They're just making this up as they go along. And they have Tesla stuff. So anyway, they're having press conferences and telling every family to get an emergency kit. Every family. I don't live in a brush area. I don't even live near the mountains. What they talking about us for?
Yeah, but California, they've been they've been warning Californians for a minute.
Right, they have, and
they have been really warned, and PG&E is not bullshitting with California. They're really not bullshitting with California, and again, it is going to happen across the planet, but it has to do with the frequency and the movement, the shift of those magnetic poles.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, and I see you, oh, I'm coming to you, sweetheart, in just a second. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
You also got to look at it. You also got to look at it from the aspect of they've been saying that the grid was going to shut down. For one, it has to. So, I mean, as far as preparedness, people should already be ready for it and expecting it because it's necessary.
Right.
Because that system has to go. And the Marines are on standby for war. You forget that Trump at war with the Rockefellers and all of them. That's the reason why they put out all this bad press on him and talking about impeaching him. Because when all this Epstein stuff and everything come to light, if he get back in 2020, that's when he can go all in, just like Obama did. He didn't give a fuck what he did because he was going to be out of office. And they thought Hillary was going to be in next. So what, none of his crimes going to be found out. But that's them fighting with each other.
Right, and it's the falling of an empire. That is the falling of their empire.
The Marines are Trump's personal guard. That's why he's calling them in, because you know that they've been trying to kill him. They're going to keep trying to come after him. That whole thing with Ukraine and the other countries, presidents can ask other countries to investigate officials from here if they've been conducting illegal business over there. That's nothing that's impeachable. If a president ain't supposed to talk to leaders from other countries, how do you get anything done? Even though ain't none of it being done on our behalf.
Right.
We just got to be able to see the game for what it is.
Exactly. For what it is. Exactly.
And know what we are supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing is knowing and mastering self.
That's right.
If you ain't done that, you're a casualty of war to begin with.
Right.
You already done so.
Right.
And all you are is in the way.
Right.
But mama gonna take care of all that. If your frequency ain't high enough, you done so anyway. So it's just levels to all of this.
Yep.
You have to understand that. You can't get just stuck on one perspective.
Right.
Because everything that you're taught is somebody else's perspective.
Indeed.
If it's not something that's helping you grow, something that's helping you manifest, it's bullshit. To you, that may have worked for somebody else, but that's not your reality.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
I digress.
Okay, sis, I want to unmute you, but you had a lot of feedback, so I'm going to try to unmute you again. So, Brother Sean, do you have any go ahead on with the fuckery, and then I'm going to go to 330.
Yeah. I just don't. What is it with our people that anything and everything sets you off but the truth?
Child.
These lies make you act a goddamn fool.
Mm-hmm.
But people that tell you the truth, you get mad at them. You call them crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to fuck with them. But you keep going to the motherfuckers that's lying to you, taking your money, leading you down the wrong path, keeping you vibrating at a low frequency. You fuck with them people real tough.
Right.
That's fuckery. And the only person you fucking is yourself. Everything is on the line. And you want to be off into fuckery all day, every day. Letting somebody else control your emotions, telling you what to think, how to feel, when to feel it, who to feel it about.
Yes.
You ain't got a single goddamn thought of your own. Not whatever you thinking and feeling right now about what I said. I created that thought. It ain't yours, goddammit. Think. Get out that fuckery. I'm done.
Indeed. Indeed. Very well said. Let me bring on 330.
That's Brother Lex.
I think so. 330, your line is open.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all?
You said love.
Shalom, everybody. You guys don't have to get all quiet. It's Barbara. Yay?
Sandra?
Yeah, Sandra, Sean, and Ron. How are you, brother?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I'm sorry. I thought you... Never mind. But I'm doing pretty good. I hope you guys are doing good.
Yes.
Thanks for, the compliment. I tried to get a few people to come on board and listen. And, not because, you guys need viewers.
Right.
Because, no offense, it's just because people need to hear this from another outlet. It's one thing if people, have heard this before on my channel or another channel, but it's not that we always get the opportunity to hear something like Blogtalk where people can call in and get their voice heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people enjoy that. They thrive for that. That is why the live streams are so popular. Typing nonstop is if somebody can actually broadcast and read what the hell you're saying.
Right.
Again, I called in to listen to the show. I would love to be part of the show, but I'm sure you guys go over stuff. You had said something at the end of last show, and you actually said it this time at the beginning of this show, and I thought it's so fucking hilarious. I couldn't just pass it up, So you were talking about this sulfur, right? You're talking about the sulfur.
Oh, and, yes. Sandra was talking about the sulfur. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hi, Sandra. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. And yourself?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, you were talking about the sulfur. You guys were actually talking about it last 2 weeks ago. And when I was introduced to it, it was Tyrone Street. And Tyrone Street had a video, and the video was, can't remember the name of it, but it actually had to do with what is maybe it was called like Under the Skin or something like that. But it had to do with what melanated people had under their skin, melanation, and what non-melanated people had under their skin. Now, I could not tell you if this is a test on every man, woman, or human in the world. All I can tell you is, what I remember, from what I was reading, and, it talked about that I can't remember if it was all Europeans, again, or a high percentage, had sulfur-based dermatology.
Right.
And, that's kind of funny, because it's a walking goddamn matchstick,
It is.
And then when you get into terms of hothead and stuff like that, and then when you get into, the prophecy, I'm going to burn everything up type thing, it starts to paint like a different picture. Yeah, I was reading Zechariah the other day, and it says, I'm going to make Judah a fire that's going to kindle all the people. Like pretty much saying, I'm going to burn everybody. And it's kind of funny. You're like, no, you're not going to do that. But, it's to say if you had enough people spread out who was a walking matchstick, yeah, it would have been exactly like that.
Yeah.
Because I believe you guys brought it up. Stop on the phone and move.
Oh yeah, I think when we were talking about the plasma and
Malachi.
Yes, yep.
Malachi's 4th chapter and stuff. It says it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny. Anybody can choose. I don't want to go down this subject, this avenue. You can't. It forces itself into conversation. You have to, at that point, address it. I mean, this man had this on video, 5 years ago. Again, he's one of those people that's just, damn trendsetter, knowledge-wise. But now it's reoccurring. I remember when I saw it, I connected it with this video that exists called How the Sun Sees You. And if you guys have never seen that video, I suggest you guys watch that video because, it really shows you in UV visuals, how the sun sees each of us.
I did see that. Yeah, that was, yeah.
Yeah, like a negative image.
But yeah.
So again, if you're dark skin and your hair is black, the reverse image is not that fucking different from the original image. So
right,
it really is.
Right.
So it's funny because you'd expect it to black hair is going to turn white. No, it doesn't do that in UV light. No, so yeah, it just,
right.
So
yeah,
so it just compounds on what you guys were saying. I'm sorry. I just that subject it really excites me because of there's a lot of places like in Texas. There's a mountain called Mount Guadalupe, and it comes from some river that they call or a stream that they call the same thing, sulfur. In an area that they have labeled sulfur something. I can't remember. It was when I was in Texas. But all this stuff, it's in my mind, it's 5 years old, or I've been waiting 5 years for this start to happen. So I'm really excited. I'm sorry. I just couldn't read it.
No, you're cool. You're cool. And I'm going to leave your line open so, you're free to chime in or you can mute or whatever. You're definitely free to stay with us. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I definitely want to extend that invitation to you.
Yeah, sure. I'll be on mute. We're putting our son to bed soon, so I'll be on mute.
Okay. Okay. All right. You can just unmute and put something on it when you're ready. Cool. Okay. Thank you, brother. It's interesting because the first person that I heard talk about sulfur, you all know I'm country, so I have a twang to my voice. But it was Dr. Layla Africa. He has a book on melanin. And it's an easy read. It may be 50 pages. I know it's under 100 pages. he breaks down in the book what we're categorizing as races, kind of the chemical components.
Yeah, it is.
And that's the first time that I saw the sulfur content. And then when I started over it's been about 3 years for me, Brother Lex, hearing people talk about the sulfur component and it's, being combustible very easily, I thought back what Layla Africa was saying. Now, the sad part about it, again, and I always say this, is that things like that people don't want to talk about. But they can talk about other bullshit all day long. But things like that, they don't want to talk about. They're still not being honest about the UV radiation and the reason why they're blocking out the sun and why it's really not making any difference. As a matter of fact, it's making it worse with them throwing up the artificial lights and having those lights beam off things. It just, in essence, is making things hotter. And it's heating up so much that, again, if you are a gardener, you will notice the difference in some of your plants this year. They were literally getting scorched.
Right.
Literally getting scorched. So it's sad that, and that's why I go back to when we were talking about earlier, sis, with all of the bullshit they put in the media, instead of the things that do need to be focused on. Because now I'm going to go real deep, and I'm going to go, and it's going to hurt some feelings. It is what it is. And it's melanated people. Some of you have heard this before, but I'm going to get on the Moors, all right? Because it was said that the Moors were supposed to be populating all of the other derivative, quote, quote, races. And some say that those races were a spin off of their genetics anyway. And that goes back to what we were talking about with that M gene a couple of weeks ago, where people that think they're Caucasian think that they're Europe, actually their oldest ancestral gene ties back to Africa. And so that's what I'm referring to when I say Moors, okay? So it is said that the Moors were supposed to be mixing with these different races to breed out recessive genes. So meaning where the skin is so light that it can't handle the sun, within a few generations, I think it takes 5 generations to make it more melanated. Okay. Now, Bobby Hemmett said back in the 90s that the closeout date for folks to be blending back in to have the necessary genetic and chemical survive the changes that were going to happen, he said the window of opportunity closed. And I find this shit, y'all gonna know where I'm going with this. He said by World War II, that was the last window of opportunity. Now think back when we did the series on the forgotten black nobility. What did we say World War II was really about?
To extinguish us.
It was to overthrow those those remaining melanated kingdoms across the planet. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the blending happening through the Moors bloodline, it was a reversal. Okay, so
Wow.
meaning that the Caucasian particular gene, and it's not just the Caucasian gene, because the Asian gene too, it populated even more. Okay, so that's why now that you see the point that we're at now, and then on top of that, before I get into what I'm about to say, the Asians fucked up royally because they purposely bred more boys and suppressed breeding women. It's happened in the China and in India. So now they have a shortage of women. And in the point of India and China, now they're kidnapping young girls to breed for them. So this just shows you how folks are doing it to themselves. Okay, so now we get to the birth rate of the Caucasian race where it is in negative. Okay, now what is not being said, which is sad, but they're not going to tell all the way the truth, because it's more of a genetic thing, because that recessive gene is running out of its lifespan. But had it been blended back into its original bloodline, that Moorish bloodline, that would not be a factor or an issue. So it's very, very interesting because, again, now the planet is going to have the last say. That's just the bottom line. So now I do want to say, melanated people, and Brother Sean and I say this all the time, don't think that your ass is finna sit back comfortable. Don't think that you are. Because just because you have the genetic makeup to bring in the UV radiation, it's also still based on vibration. So we say again, if you're still stuck at a lower vibration, and as these UV radiations and frequency of a higher level keep blasting the planet from the atmosphere and coming up out of the ground, then that's your ass if you can't tune in to the frequency. So make no mistakes about it. Nobody gets the pass. Nobody. Because as we said before, the Caucasians didn't start this. They are a younger race. They are the offspring of the Moors. This was a spiritual war on melanin. So it is not going to be any escaping you cleaning up your own bloodline, starting with yourself and sweeping around your own doorstep. Start with that. So don't think that you can point at somebody else and say who not going to motherfucking make it, because it may not be you. And I apply that to myself as well. If I gotta go, goddammit, I gotta go. It is what it is. So this is for everyone across the board, because the planet has shifted. So you either are in tune or you're not. But there are other factors as far as things that were done and truths that were not told, and people that didn't want to face truth that put themselves in situations, and that includes Caucasians, that includes Asians, and that includes melanated, indigenous melanated Americans, and quote, quote, Africans. That includes everyone. So I'll yield in case you all want to put something on it. If not, dang, sis keep dropping off. Go ahead, Brother Sean. I'm going to bring sis back on again. Poor sis. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
I like to go out on
I know. You on your last. Oh, boy. Go ahead on, Brother
Colonization began long before there was a pale face.
That's right.
Colonization is war.
Yep.
They come and take your shit and make you accept it.
Mm-hmm.
And make you think that you're a part of something and have you vote for your leaders. Have you work for the system.
Yep.
And you accept it as normal, even though they teach you that you've been colonized. Now, during the melanated on melanated colonization is when the Moors creation started learning the game.
Right. Well, they taught them the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have outside interference from other dimensional beings that the Moors had made pacts with.
Absolutely.
All these things come into play. And you accept them. And they tell you that they done these things. And you overlook it. You become like you didn't hear it.
Right. Yep.
And you keep suffering. And you enjoy suffering.
Yep.
Because you keep going along. Because they keep going along with it.
Exactly.
But as long as you keep blaming a tool for everything that's going on, I call them a tool because they were created for a specific purpose, just like a tool. But these tools ran amok, just like they try and claim a gun does.
Right.
Guns is out here killing people left and right.
Right.
The guns doing it.
Jumped up by itself. Right.
Yeah, the
guns are walking.
Right.
Well, they keep talking about is gun control, controlling the gun.
Well, you better take them arms off that gun so they can pull that trigger.
What they need to take off is all these damn video games that's with all this killing, zombie games, shooting game, military games, special ops, all this set it up. All the kids do is participate in violence all day.
Right. Right. Well,
but they blame the gun.
You go ahead. I have to run and get my journal. I have something in there to share, but go ahead, sis. Go ahead and put something on. I'll be right back.
I'm thinking, you see, the problem is heating up of the planet, the frequency. We get back to that sulfur problem. You see, they can't control the need to fight. Now, they have that need in them, and they can't control it. It's like the monkey then got the gun, and the monkey is pull the trigger, and the trigger is, the gun is just shooting itself because their DNA is messing with them. That's what I was trying to say when we were talking about, if you get too hot, that means your anger is going to get too hot. You don't have the control system that you used to have to maintain coolness. They're just fighting amongst themselves because they are being exposed to the elements that is a extinction event. It's an extinction event. And they got this little kid up there yelling at them and stuff about this global stuff. And I'm like, girlfriend, it is not man-made. It is an extinction event. It's the planet cleansing itself. So, that's the problem.
But I think she knew that, though, sis. I think she knew that. That was them talking in code. So,
yeah, exactly.
You know, when I say them, I am referring to that 1% that has been controlling this empire, running that particular Psyops, but sending hidden messages, and that particular hidden message was, we at the point of no return.
Exactly.
Hey, sis.
Mm-hmm.
Our people started becoming much more violent towards each other.
Absolutely.
During that Jerry curl and sulfur 8 era.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember,
now, wait a minute. Let's hit that sulfur 8.
Yeah, so use sulfur 8 for dandruff, use sulfur 8 for hair, use sulfur 8 for itchy scalp, but your hair show you care.
But you know,
right.
China put
our people was the ones buying that. They wasn't buying that.
Right.
I like so.
The shampoo, everything. Running around stinking, smelling like sulfur.
You could not tell somebody that sulfur 8 wasn't going to grow their motherfucking hair, oil in their scalp and braiding it up and all that. But you're right. And look at like Chicago and a couple of the other cities that are literally war zones. I guess as melanated people, we just gonna motherfucking ignore all of that, right? We gonna ignore that.
But I heard that they were coming in there with their little undercover folks doing that kind of stuff too.
And let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
And I'm gonna say again, can't no motherfucking white man walk in the hood and do shit. It's not possible. It's not gonna happen. It's not possible. We have to take responsibility for the shit that goes down in our families, on our block, in the community as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't control your household, you can't control your block. So get the hell out of my face talking about building and controlling a nation. You're not capable.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't want to hear, okay, the train stopped, all of that. Yeah, we know that they infiltrate with guns, drugs, all of that. We understand all of that. But again, the guns that don't just jump up and shoot by themselves. You don't want the police in your business. Then clean up your fucking business.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't have to have any outside force coming in telling you how to fucking conduct yourself. We're not even perpetuating the violence on the quote white men. It's being happening to each other. So me personally, I'm not going to sit up here and coddle and stroke anybody's fucking ego. Nobody gets a pass. And that's including me. You are responsible for yourself. You're responsible for your family. And this shit is going on because we're not doing the basics as a collective. So stop pointing the finger outward. Start within. All right. So.
Well, you know, they did pay Indians to kidnap Indians, but they've also starved us enough that people will do stuff like that to their own race of people because their resources are not in our community for us to survive. And so we do have that problem because money talks and BS walks.
I have a question.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
Oh, please don't call me sir. I wear T-shirts. So the sulfur, and so do you think that the sulfur has always been a problem? Do you think that they've been putting drugs in things like water or in food, just so much water is in food, to control their temperature, maybe?
That is the point.
Air
conditioner.
All I can tell you is this.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is white. She's got dark hair. Whether she's classified as Caucasian or whatever, you know, it's still yet to be determined, right? Anybody's gonna vouch for anybody that they feel that they know that way. So that's moot. All I can tell you is the actions that she's done. When I was studying SLC-2485, it turns out that there's this stuff called neem, and neem is a natural oil. And it turned out
NEEM, right?
Yeah. It turns out that I was on the road driving, and she was doing the research for me, and she looked up that there were people that had natural reactions to neem, and that there were people that died from neem. And it turned out that the neem was placed in lotion, and it was rubbed on her skin. So when she did the research, she found out that what they do is when they catch fish, some hatcheries or some companies use neem to separate the parasites from fish. Right? So, okay. So she's got it. You want to go ahead?
Because I use it in my garden. That's how I know what you're talking about.
So when I'm assuming, because she read this stuff, she's just, related it to me. I'm assuming that when lotion with the neem were touched with people that had SLC-2485 chromosome in their blood, in their body, that it forced the parasites in their body to release from wherever they were, cause blood complications, like inside, bleeding inside of the body. But I'm only assuming that. I didn't read the article. I didn't search anything with you. But it's a natural oil, quote unquote. The idea of natural people don't die from almond extract or orange extract, natural things. There are natural things that, hey, once you have too much of this, it becomes a poison, it becomes a toxin. You have a toxic reaction. But I've never heard that with neem until I started digging into.
Yeah, I never have, because, like I said, I literally have pure neem oil, and I dilute it and put dishwashing liquid in there and water, and I'm giving y'all gardeners a tip. And that's how I organic garden. I spray it to make sure they don't get on my plants. So that's really interesting to hear you say that, because I do know it's nature's quote quote repellent.
Yeah. Well, look, I got the decent sidekick. She'll go through the list of variants. And she'll sit there and study with me, saying, if we made a Van Helsing kit to light people up, this is what we have to do.
Wow.
I mean, it's funny, you know. I mean, just like again, how England looked before. You know, you have your black royal and his white apprentice, and you know, it's nature rekindling itself in its unique kind of way. You know, so you know, this is why I can't say everybody's evil, because I mean, fuck, man, it's not like I'm paying her to help me figure out how to stop people with variants. She's just,
right.
It's just coming to her, and as if it's supposed to be delivered to me. You know, so you know, how can I say she's not a good pocket?
Right.
You know, that's all I can say. One day we can make a protest, and she fucking failed. I have no idea. I'm just saying. You know,
right. Indeed, brother. Indeed. Indeed. And you know, you don't. And I'm not saying that you are doing that, but to me, this is my personal opinion, you don't have to justify any of that to anyone. That's your choice, your decision. I personally don't roll like that. So that's just me.
One day we will have to walk out of here, and we will have to pass every bloodline batch of these peoples, whether they're people or whether they're things. And if I feel, you know, something's inspiring me to make this special suitcase, you know, I'll make that special suitcase. You know, we were at a point when I was studying that, and I was making jokes. It's funny if I made a Van Helsing cigar box, and this would be the first thing that goes in. Truthfully, the more we study, the more things we find. And you know, they don't tell you that silver is so important for no reason. And the thing is, I can't broadcast that on YouTube. I can't say, oh, the kill, oh, you know, they would be like, yeah, that's
right.
They would do, yeah, you know, and it's not like I'm, you know, trying to do it to your show or anything like that. I'm just sharing it as
he did already.
It's okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, we already did.
No, it's just, you know, I don't have any intent behind it, you know, at this moment. Everybody changes. It's just something that's very close to, in my opinion, of what you guys are saying, because, you know, we had these drug disasters where people kept overheating and taking their clothes off and biting other people. When you sit there and say, Florida, all that stuff. Right? When you sit there and say the vibration and things, you know, I'm not one to hear all that stuff, but it's not like I'm going to deny when you got a point. There are some people that are clearly out of whack. I mean,
oh, yeah.
I'm not going to keep going, but here's how obvious it is to me. Sean, how old are you, may I ask?
52.
How many years have you spent getting in line?
I've been doing that for over 30 years.
So have you been to a gas station lately? When you go to the gas station, look at how people line up, and you start to see my point. You know, people refuse to line up, and that's for things that they want. So there's a dysfunction that's going on with particular members of society. And when you have to look at the next guy and say, okay, you have to look at the next guy and say, hey, man, can you get in line so the rest of us can line up behind you in single file? And you can tell the guy's like at least 30. You know, you have to explain the basic things over again. You know, you can tell something disturbed on the inside. In my opinion. I'm going to mute myself. Thank you.
Got you, brother. Got you. Okay.
Most people.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
Most people don't focus on being in line with self.
Exactly.
So I mean, that means as far as for anything else, they just all over the place.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was looking at, and here's and it's not even go head on with the fuckery. It's just interesting. I was looking at nuclear fission energy, and I wanted to know how nuclear plants are generating this quote, quote, energy, because as I said recently, that all of these particular services that they are making us pay for, like electricity, etc., they're really pulling it literally out of the air, getting it for free, or out of the ground, tapping into the energy grid in the sky and the energy grid underground, and using just basic conductors to transmit the energy and to make that current of energy stronger. They're using what we think are propeller jets, and just do some basic research. You can go to YouTube, look at how they're lying about using jet fuel for engines and how that's really running on air. And so what sparked my mind to kind of look into nuclear energy when I saw that a propulsion jet is used to generate it. So anyhow, I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. So when I saw how they were doing that, I'm like, yeah, that's just as I thought. They're running a con game. But when you look at the chemical makeup, that's what I said, oh my God, oh my God. So you look at nuclear fission, and it has uranium.
Right.
And then you kind of go to the periodic charts, and here's where I'm like, my ass should have listened and studied that a little closer in school back in the day when I felt it was bullshit. Now it makes sense, and I know why they doing what they're doing. Basically just splitting the atom per se and splitting the nucleus or nuclei. That's how you get nuclear fission. So when it splits, this is what I'm like, oh, hell to the no. Because when it splits, that nuclei splits, it on a periodic table, it splits into something called KR92 and then 141BA. When I saw that, what it split in, I immediately thought, oh my God, that is mimicking the Ka and the Ba, the spirit and the soul. Okay? I'm like, this is making sense. So then I started digging into, okay, so what is 92 KR? Guess what KR represents on the periodic table? Krypton.
Krypton. I was thinking kryptonite, yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Wait. Back that shit up. You mean to tell me that Krypton is on the periodic table. You mean the shit that could kill Superman is on the periodic table, which is gas, colorless, and odorless, reacts only to fluorine gas. Krypton used fluorine.
Wait a minute. You mean like in toothpaste?
I cannot make this bullshit up, y'all. I'm sitting here with these dirty motherfuckers. So
it's toothpaste. Oh, shoot.
Right, and I went and looked up fluorine gas, and it is the fluorine derivative products that they're using in toothpaste and a lot of other shit, and the water.
Yes. Yeah. That's what making them crazy then.
Okay, well, it gets better, sis. Bear with me. So
my goodness.
They said that krypton is used in lasers. Okay? Keep that in mind. So, looked up the bar, and basically when both of those components split again, the bar, the 141 bar splits into gamma rays, and the 92 krypton, well, the gamma rays, they both break down to gamma rays, which are really light codes, you all. So remember when we were talking about your ka and your ba, so meaning your light code body, and how basically everything has a frequency, and that frequency can be seen through lights on what spectrum of frequency you're on based on your light code. So that's what they mean when they talk about your light body. So then it came to me, so basically they were taking this splitting of the atom and getting down to the nucleus and the nuclei, getting to the essence of spirit and soul. And when you get down to those things, because we know that nuclear is a powerful form of energy, the atomic explosion, and as you split it, it's even more concentrated energy. So where I am going with this is I believe that a lot of those spiritual wars, not a lot of them, all of the spiritual wars, and I've said this many times before, were based on bloodlines and different chemical makeups. So I'm going to go back to this laser, where I'm going with that, okay? Because remember, I told you all that the lasers can also be associated with plasmic energy. So I want you to think of Star Wars, and when they're fighting with the different lasers, and one side has one color and another side has another color, and like Superman, what is Superman's only weakness? It's kryptonite.
Yep,
kryptonite. So even on down to the way energy, you see where I'm going with that? Where energy is processed.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, that may be our sleeping pill. What do you think?
What do you mean by sleeping pill?
That our people are asleep because we're the Superman. Remember that movie?
Exactly. Hank, I don't think I saw that.
That was with Will Smith.
Yeah, perfect example, sis.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Yeah. Perfect example.
Mm-hmm. It was the green kryptonite that weakened Superman. It don't kill him.
Yeah,
Black
it weakens him. My
right?
bad. Yeah, it doesn't kill him. It weakens him.
The black kryptonite made him evil, and I think it's the red kryptonite that'll kill him.
Oh, I didn't know we had colors in it, but they have weakness, and we're the Superman. He represented us as being the super people who have been put to sleep.
Right, because that's why. He
represented the Elohim.
Exactly, because that's what the L means. That's why all Superman's people had the L. Because I forget Superman's real name.
Kal-El.
Kal-El, yep, Kal-El, yeah. So absolutely, Sean, he represents the Elohim. Absolutely.
And he was powered by the sun.
Exactly, which is nothing but a form of plasma energy at the end of the day.
Well, remember
at the end
that.
Of the day. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
Remember, we're supposed to wake up when the suns, the 7 sons of Nibiru, and all that kind of stuff comes in our area, and our DNA is supposed to heal from this sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're blocking the sun.
So sons, plural, yes.
Plural. So that will not happen, but we are awakening, some of us, anyway, because the lasers, maybe those satellites, I was always wondering what them satellites are up there for. So that laser technology they have invented is to help keep us asleep. Now, that's what I'm hearing.
Well, it's interesting because when I started getting into the periodic tables and when I saw Krypton acts only to fluorine gas, I'm like, just stick me with a fork. I'm fucking done.
And they put it in the fluoride. That's
well, in the toothpaste, in the water, in the drinking water. So
and they said it's your teeth. I found out a long time ago that stuff is really, really bad for us. Really, really, really bad for everybody.
So, and let's just back up. I want to be clear. I want the family to really enter and understand where I'm going with this. I just gave you nuclear fission, breaking down from the splitting of the atom, the nucleus to the nuclei, all the way down. Basically getting to the essence of who we really are. So they're calling it the Ker and the Ba, but we on the spiritual side told you have a Ka and a Ba, a spirit and a soul. So getting down to your life body of who you are. Now, I just broke down to you nuclear fission. So what does that tell you who and what you really are and how powerful you really are?
That is
You
cool.
are a walking light code being with very powerful energy.
Right.
And to suppress your power, manipulation was done as far as, introducing the fluoride to dumb folks down, to comatose them. So,
and it will do.
Quote, spiritual community was saying these things will calcify your third eye.
I know.
They were not bullshitting. That is to suppress that inner God in you. So I just wanted to share that with the family. Again, I went down the journey for something else, and when I got to the periodic table of what nuclear fission was made above. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But it should not surprise us because everything that we see from far as a technology perspective is either using nature or it is a derivative of nature. Okay, and so since when we talk about the grid and all of that, that's why they're scrambling, because everything is returning back to a natural state, and it's going to a higher frequency. So those new AI are getting even more powerful, and the current system will not be able to handle it. They will not be able to sustain it. So let me go to 218. I know you've been holding for a little bit, so let me open up your line. 218, your line is open.
Oh, peace and love, Sister Rhonda. How are you?
Peace and love. I'm well. How are you, brother? Good to hear your voice.
Fantastic. Good to hear you guys. I tell you, peace and love to the panel.
Peace and love.
Peace and love to the family. I tell you, last week was a fight on all the channels with Blogtalk.
Okay.
I tell you. Yeah, and I was so disappointed when I finally got through. I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, and you may have been the only one that got through, and I'm like, this is crazy. Yeah, it was real crazy last week.
They didn't want you to get popular. That's all that was.
And we could care less about that. I've never cared about
popular.
That's
right.
It's always about just getting the information out there. So, what's on your mind, brother?
I love the I love the synchronicity of everything, how it's just flowing, and you just took me way back to elementary school, and when we think about the basic truth about the elements,
yep,
the first basic truth, they can't be destroyed.
No, it cannot.
Now, that's a powerful statement.
You don't like that.
That's a powerful statement. And so, try as they might, they can only self-destruct, but they can't destroy us. So that's what's important to realize. And, so that ran into J.A. Rogers, Superman the Man, and all that. You'll probably find a whole trail of connective information on that. The second point is that what's really funny is if we only knew the truth, just making it, just our awareness of it is will activate us.
Yes.
And see, that's the true nature of this new plasma energy is
right. Take it back.
There has been a corruption because certain ones got a hold of the portions of the blueprint.
Yep.
And of the DNA, but they didn't get it all. But they got enough to maneuver and mix all this destructive type stuff, not knowing that it wasn't about us being destroyed. It was similar to the way you said about they done away with the women in China and sabotaged themselves.
Yeah,
really did.
It's just that similar. And the other thing is that I find most interesting is how all the various legends and things that I have encountered over my years. Mm-hmm. We're talking like over my years of reading, we're talking like at least 60. This is, even though I read a little before I was 3, but I'm counting everything after 3. Mm-hmm. And I would say that's about 60 years of reading. And I mean, I'm an avid and have always been an avid reader. And I loved all the sci-fi and the other stuff, but I forced myself on all the other nonsense so that I could just see what was there, so I can get to the point where I can figure out, well, why I'm rejecting this so much, you know? So I had to read everything. And, you know, when I went to school, it wasn't about just going to school to get a grade. Right. I didn't need a shiny apple for the teacher. No, you don't give me the grade, I take the grade. So in the course of all my readings, I've come across various legends, and, like, they sort of confirm a lot of stuff in terms of what, you know, things that are hidden from those who wish they had it. Like the legend about the three wise men. Where shall we hide the secret of man? I don't know if many heard it, but everyone should have. But sometimes I take it for granted that everyone heard what I heard, and I noticed it ain't always so. You know, so one of the wise men said at the top of the highest mountain. Then they thought about it and said, no, they'll just, you know, figure a way to get up there and get it. Another said, well, down and below, the deepest place in the river, the ocean, whatever. Oh, no, they'll figure that one out, too. They'll figure a way to get down there. The third will say, oh, I got it. We'll hide it inside man. And so, therefore, that tells us a whole lot about why we have to go within and look within. Yes. And then there was this other particular legend about Hiram Abiff, who got hit in the head. But I've never heard anyone speak about the expansion of it. Now, the expansion of it was that Hiram Abiff was really one of four. And without his portion, the other three, corrupted by greed for control and dishonoring their oath, started creating these societies as if they were masters. And of course, what you do, those who follow you will duplicate you. So then you have all these societies now, so secret. Half of them have nothing. That's how come they call it 33 degrees, because they can't get no further. They don't have the truth. They don't have it all.
Exactly.
And
where does the 33 stop physically on the body, brother?
Say it again?
Where does the 33rd degree stop physically on the body? Where is it located on the body?
I'm not certain to that.
It's
sure
the back of the skull. The back of the skull, the adubla. I never pronounced it right. Brother Sean pronounced it for me.
Adubla oblongata?
Exactly.
Oblongata.
So I want you to I want the family to think about that. If the highest degree is the 33rd, and that is the back of the base of your skull, where is your third eye and your crown chakra located on your body?
Towards the center and the front, yes.
In the middle.
Isn't that higher than the back of your skull?
No, you can't find it there.
No.
Yeah, so where I'm going with that is the reason they don't have the secrets, because those societies purposely stop the knowledge of their folks at that 33rd, because if they would go beyond that 33rd, then they are tapping into the third eye, tapping into the crown chakra, which taps into limitless energy.
Well, that's the Jesus Ram 33. That's the code.
which would actually cause them to implode if they're not ready.
Right.
And that's true. That's true, because you do have to be ready, because Aleister Crowley, he had a lot of people die trying to mess with the higher sciences, and their frequency was not ready for it, and a lot of them went crazy and committed suicide. So yes, that is absolutely true. I'm sorry, brother, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to
quite
that
all
out.
right. I love it. I love edifications and building, because that's what it's about. And the third legend is the Greek mythology, and you brought that in when you started really introducing the Ka and the Ba, because I have never heard many use those terms in the way that you recognize them. And I know with all my reading of quote-unquote Egyptology, dealing with the ceremonies and the things of preparing the body to go forth, and, they spoke in those terms to break down the two, and saying then this is, to go along with the Ba according to that next realm, that next frequency level. So,
right.
And so again, I have to thank you so much for, the information that you just broke down. It's very important. Plus, it's also an attachment to consideration I'm always having is, how to really get that back into the source where we no longer need to worry about the locked off portion, because it's in abundance.
Exactly.
And
You're living pure energy. Exactly. Peace and love, brother. Thank you so much, and it was good to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
Actually, there isn't any blocked off. We just don't know how to tap into it. We've forgotten how to tap into it.
That's a great point.
Energy is constant. It never goes anywhere. That's why we have life down here, because there's an abundance of energy.
Yes.
And for everything to survive down here, everything else in nature is tapping off into that energy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't require false light, though.
So we go to the chemtrails. We go back to Ronald Reagan. We go back to all the things they have done to stop that energy from manifesting itself.
But they didn't stop it. All they done was gave us a program, and we accepted it.
We accepted the program.
A lot of money.
It's us.
Yeah,
think about what she said. She said, "Here's this stupid-ass comic book called Superman, but everything about it is real in our lives. So much so, it's running through our pipes."
You're right.
To get kryptonite, you need fluoride. To get fluoride, that means you use fluoride, and you use whatever fluoride comes from, and fluoride is what's left over. It's the sewage.
Yep.
So then you have fluoride and most likely krypton, because they're not going to tell you we're looking for something expensive like krypton when they're only going to look for fluoride because that's what the Nazis use.
They breaking you up, brother.
Breaking you up. You telling the
because once you say it out loud, it ain't that hard to put the pieces together. Like,
exactly.
This is why all the tap water, everything we eat uses tap water. I don't care how much bottled water. See, the frequency does not stop. It's us. This is the point of leaving you in constant fear so you can't sit down and fucking meditate. This is the point of dangling penises and titties in front of your face so you can't sit down and meditate. You always think about stupid shit.
Lower, yep.
Right? That's why they say you're thinking at that base level. What is that base level? It's a fucking pyramid scheme, right? So you're constantly thinking about being what? The fish that's caught, and you don't even know how to stop being the sucker. And I'm saying generalizing. I need to think about my each time in my life where this is fucking got me.
Right. Very good point, brother. Very excellent point.
Think about like there's this guy, Superfly75. He just showed that they have these foreigners coming to Detroit. Detroit has a water problem. You need water every day.
Mm-hmm.
They're spending millions of dollars to accommodate foreigners in Detroit, and when they accommodate those foreigners will still have to drink the same goddamn water.
Right.
Come on. It's like if ever there's a snake biting itself, that's because it seems to be these guys are all related, but to do this one thing for their brother, they're putting their brother in the same circumstances that whom they oppress.
Right.
It's not like they got separate pipes.
Exactly.
You have melanin. Your skin prevents the chemicals in water from seeping in. They don't. Their skin drinks that shit up like it's a straw. And they know it.
Yes,
when you look up atropine, the ability to use a chemical to turn a male frog into a female frog.
Mm-hmm.
But humans live on land, so we're not just sitting in that fluid. But once it gets inside of you, it changes your thought process. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you don't like boobs anymore. You like berries, right? So when they do this, and they can tell you they've recorded each time it's been dumped. Mm-hmm. They're telling you their top agency already knows who fucking drove the truck, who signed the paperwork, who administered this, which corporation. They're telling you because it's been part of their pyramid scheme. Each of these, look. I mean, cereal, right? You fucking sit there and you look at cereal. It's got metal flakes in it, right? But why would you put metal flakes in cereal unless you're trying to weight down the box? Well, what's happening with that? Don't their children eat that same cereal?
Right.
And what do those little metal flakes do to the stomach of their little children? They don't think this is backfiring on them? So, it's I'll always say it like this. The same pilot that's poisoning our skies got to land his plane, drive home to his family, who he just poisoned as well.
Right.
Yep.
the whole split himself.
Yep.
Trying to get rid of the parasite, he thinks. Mm-hmm.
Excellent point. Whew. Wow.
That's it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, go ahead, Brother Sean. I know you had something you wanted to put on it.
If they had the technology and the capabilities that they claim to have, they would have already achieved that 90% population reduction.
That's true.
Now, the so-called elite and their pharmaceutical, which is their magi, because pharmaceutical, that's magic.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're putting spells on us.
That I would agree with.
That's true.
Like how you go to the hospital and they tell you that you're about to die, and then all of a sudden you sick as fuck. But you was fine before you went in there.
Right.
And just because this motherfucker told you you was fucked up and finna die, you believe him.
Right.
And then he prescribed these potions for you.
That actually kills you.
It started creating all these symptoms. And he tells you you're going to experience this. But he didn't give you something that's going to do that.
Right.
You're going to experience that. He didn't give you something that's going to fucking do that.
Right. He puts the toxicity in your body.
It's like AIDS. They did that with AIDS.
They do that with everything, as far as the things that they aren't even actually doing. They have you sitting up worried about shit that ain't never gonna happen. Like they keep telling you all these dates that they gonna do this and do that, and all your energy is focused on this date.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when this date comes, oh, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that.
Right.
And that date coming, you still a dumbass slave.
Right. Right. Or they flash something across the television to spark, like you said, Brother Sean, a reaction and emotion out of you. And as a collective, when it happens, oh, okay, my spell, it worked the way I wanted it to work. So, again, we just found the chemical makeup of the spirit and the soul, and how they use that from a nuclear fission perspective. So you're talking about a pure energy that's so powerful, your spirit and soul, that they had to use tools to just suppress you from tapping into it. And I've said this all the time, that this shit can change in a second with just collective thought.
Mm-hmm.
That's
creative.
How much energy that you can generate. Now, hopefully, that folks are starting to enter and understand that we're not saying this to talk out the side of our ass. There's physics behind it as well. They are controlling the essence of your spirit and soul, or your nuclei energy. They're suppressing it from you using it to your full potential the way you are supposed to and have the divine right to use it. Because if we did use it, none of this stuff would be going on. So I'm sorry, Brother Sean, go ahead. In case you had something else to put on it.
Yeah, I'm good. I thought Brother Lex said something to put back on.
You know,
sorry about that. I agree. Look at martial arts. That's all I was going to say.
You know, in the concentration camps, I've always wondered why those millions, or 6 million they claim they killed, went to the slaughter without fighting. And do you know what I found out they used? Ta-da! Fluoride.
Oh, yeah, concentration. Yeah, the gas. Yeah.
They used fluoride to dumb them down. Oh, I just know. I read all about this fluoride stuff.
I thought they used it to kill them, though, sis. I thought they used it as a poisonous gas to kill them.
They dumbed them down first with the fluoride so that they were just, you know, like people led to the slaughter. And then they gassed them and burned them.
Think about what you've been reading in those books. Think about what you're reading in those books. Those people that they present are proxy.
Yeah.
The real people that they were taking off the land, I think, what is happening to, what is the public argument in the quote-unquote so-called black community? It is land, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Are these not descendants of black Germans scattered among us?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Right? And so if they're doing the same thing to the same people, so to speak, right? And again, why won't if okay, so melanated people are so sick of the white man, why didn't we just all march south? Why are we all still right here? Is it being a cog in the wheel, or is it that we have some form of delusional attachment to the land. Because if they have internment camps, the same thing they had in Germany, if they have show me your papers, right? Right? We see everything. If they took guns away from them right before they went into the internment camp.
They did.
Then we're living the same process, except we don't see what's about to happen.
FEMA.
For whatever reason.
FEMA camps. That's what they're using it for.
So we should just take the image of white people away from the Holocaust and look at it as black Germans being exterminated for staying on their land, and then
exactly.
Okay, right. Okay, I'm reading this.
Exactly. Yep. No, you're right, because that's what we did.
You're right. Absolutely.
World War II was really about. It was to overthrow the remaining of those melanated kingdoms. And just one more thing to bring up when we were talking about the whole Superman, Krypton concept. There's 2 shows that are really ramping up. They are in plain sight that what is happening on a DNA level. There's Netflix called Raising Dion. Check it out. I've only watched 1 episode. Check it out. And then
I saw the preview.
Yeah, Black Lightning came back on this week. Whew. Child, check it out, because it's about these melanated beings. It's mainly melanated folks, but you also have some Caucasian. Yeah, it's a bloodline. Thank you. With these special powers. And now they're hunting them and locking them up. So check out Black Lightning, you all. They're not putting these things out just to put them out. So I did want to add that in there as well. And shout out to Purple Pill in the chat room. I see you in here clowning. So I'll catch back up with some of what you're throwing. Crypt is the root of kryptonite, is it not? What does crypt usually imply? Oh, very good, Purple Peel. Crypt is the root of kryptonite, is it not? Yes, it is. What does crypt usually imply? Is it not crypt a place of the dead and buried?
Yep.
Also a status of your limb if it's not working properly.
Fluoride.
Triple.
Mm-hmm.
And he also, Purple Pill also says with fluoride that fluoride is good for killing rats.
It is. It's a poison.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, and who started that?
It's one of the primary ingredients in rat poison.
Do you know who took
that's a damn shame.
Wait a minute. Do you know who took the chemicals to the people in Germany? You know who took it, who sold it to them? The Pope, before he became Pope.
That makes sense. Who would get the land when they die?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is all rolled up in trust, and ultimately they're getting a nice little cut. So yeah.
Yeah, the Pope, I think it was John or Paul or something, a couple ones back before this last one. He worked for a chemical company who sold that chemical to the Nazis, and they were in cahoots.
Okay, so you got me now. Okay, so there's the black woman, right? That they found out that when they cut her body up, that her body didn't die from her cells didn't die from cancer, right?
Right.
Henrietta Lacks.
Okay, so there's your mutant gene. Okay, that's the okay. So like that's not to say there's only one mutant gene, but she was natural. Okay, so it's not like she mutated into a toad, right? She had that healing factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do they do with Wolverine? They strip him down. They put him into a military program to take the genes. Okay, so let's just put that on the back burner right there. The whole point is to strip down genes, okay? Because something unique, it's a gift, right? So let's just think about that for a second. Because when the woman lived, she lived a natural life. She didn't know her genes was doing this. It was just something that happened, right? So this is the way they want to describe mutants, right? This is natural process, right? Because, but hold on, because she's not mutating, right? There's no outward display of ability, right? It's just a natural process, and somebody's looking at it as if it's an extraordinary breakthrough, because in their misdirected thoughts, if they chop this woman into 1,000 pieces, eventually they'll be able to replicate one of those 1,000 pieces. So that's the sickness within somebody else saying your body is more valuable than your soul, right? Because this is what grows out of a slave-driven mentality. It doesn't matter if we weren't really slaves, but this is what they believe. So when you hit the point of okay, here is the third eye, right? And then okay, it travels up the back of the spine. Okay, if anybody takes the time to look up this organ that we have, of course, it plugs in from the spine. The point that you're trying to get earlier, it plugs in from behind. So when you sit there and say, you were leading up to something, and the conversation just like a wave, it just broke the other way. You were leading up to say, hey, something that someone doesn't have. And we always argue, like, hey, this action that somebody did in public was kind of soulless, and when you sit there and say, hey, do they have the ability of the third eye? And it reminds me of years ago, looking around online, and you hear a lot about, your third eye is calcified. Right, and I never really believed what these people were saying when they say that stuff, because it's not like somebody taking all these things that they suggest to take to uncalcify it, and then their third eye works, and then they have proof or evidence or anything like that. It's just, as if their third eye was dead, and they're trying to say everybody is, because they believe that it's dead. But the final thing that I wanted to say that linked it up with the third eye is, when you look at this Superman, he is more powerful than the other ability, the other people with abilities, because of his uniqueness. And the most unique thing that he has that nobody else, of course, is beams that come from his eyes, which, there's another TV show that's out right now. I really don't promote any of these TV shows, but there's a show called The Boys on Amazon right now, and they show you how dangerous someone with the abilities of Superman is, because of the laser vision, able to just set on fire something you look at.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, she was agreeing, saying, there you go, when you talked about those lasers.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying.
Right. So the idea, okay, so they had this African kid, right? He went to a junkyard, and he was able to build a damn airplane out of the parts in a junkyard. And it wasn't like he went to an American junkyard. He was at a junkyard in Africa,
right?
Or how we perceive Africa to be, right?
Right.
Again, it's still just some kid. And all the oppression, all the hate, all the this, all of that, all the Africa's dangerous, and kids just sitting in a junkyard putting together pieces to build an airplane, and then lo and behold, it flies. And then there's international attention on it. So when you take the idea out of the third eye and laser beams, and you put the attention on the third eye and knowledge, again, some child that lives in a place that we presume is war-torn was able to find the knowledge, whether it be in book or phone or computer, and no matter what his setting was, he was able to go to a junkyard and build a vehicle of flight.
Yep.
Can't keep them down.
Indeed. Thank you, brother.
Obviously within us. Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Well, then it's obviously within us. And the point is taking the trades out of schools so that we don't have skills, so that we can't say, I know how to build this with wood. I'm going to go further than what's on the market. This is the problem. And then when you're oppressed, you don't want to do the same. Nobody oppressed wants to come out and say, hey, where's my spot on the store shelves? People that are oppressed say the store shelves don't seem right. So you start going around your system, and then that becomes a problem to them. So this is why they coat your drink. Our biggest drink is soda. Soda's an acid.
Yep.
Something's wrong with all of us. All right, I'm done. Okay. All
right. Nope, you're good, brother. You're good. Thank you for bringing that in. Purple Pill in the chat room. All right, Purple Pill. Let me get this information out, because sis, he responded to your John Paul II comment, and he said John Paul II worked with IG Farben. The name of the company was IG Farben, and so I just went right quick, did a little quick search. IG Farben. I'm guessing out of Frankfurt. So see, we don't make this stuff up. It goes, and that's why I love my family of listeners, because they're researchers, and y'all be bringing some stuff. So it goes, this was a cartel formed by the leading chemical companies in Germany after the First World War. Right. IG Farben is the diminutive of a rather more tongue-stretching Intersen, I'm not going to read all that because that's a German word, which has been translated as community of interest of dye industry. So Purple Pill comes back and says, IG Farben is the mother corporation of Bayer.
Bayer Industries.
Yep.
And so IG Farben / Bayer now owns Monsanto.
Whoa. There you go. They're doing it again.
Making it up. And so, I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
But chemicals are potions. It's still all magic.
Absolutely. Say that again, brother. Please just say that again.
Chemicals are just potions. It's all magic. They're using alchemy on us as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's all our stuff.
Right, but remember the indigenous melanated witches got burned to the stake. Because weren't they when the invaders, exactly, when the invaders started coming over and they wanted to get their asses out of the way, they start mixing up those concoctions, and that runs through bloodlines too. Because even, indigenous, what they're calling Indians in the Americas, all you have to do, and, to my millennials and my Generation Zs, you may not have had the pleasure of witnessing this, okay? But the Gen Xers and the baby boomers, you know damn well, Big Mama and them, you know that they knew how to go in that yard and make that damn medicine. Because we told y'all, even the chemicals that they use in these chemical companies are a derivative from what's found in nature. Okay, so they start with the natural components, and they'll put a twist on it to give a negative adversary effect. So then Purple Pill goes, Pope John Paul II sold Zyklon B, and that Zyklon, that name sounds familiar. I'll have to look that up. I think it's tied to some mythology. But anyway, Zyklon B to the Third Reich during the 30s. So yes,
that's some kind of pill. They have commercials for that stuff. I think anything with Zy is going to be a derivative of it. Watered down.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, going back to Superman right quick.
And
Krypton had a
chat room about that, but go ahead, Brother Sean.
Krypton had a red sun that where on that planet that he was just normal. Mm-hmm. The golden sun strengthens him.
Right.
He uses, his laser beams are red plasma.
Yes, they are.
But the red plasma from the Kryptonian sun makes him normal. The red kryptonite can kill him. It's contradictory when it comes to the Elohim. Now, if you think about it, Batman was the only one smart enough to put something in place to try and deal with Superman because he wasn't from here. And he didn't know whether or not he was going to flip out. Mm-hmm. That's why you had Superman versus the Dark Knight. But historically speaking, knights referred to black nobility. Now, Dark Knight, yes. You're talking about black. So you got the Elohim, this alien, versus the black, which is indigenous to this planet.
And so the battle of bloodlines / species, however you want to put it. Mm-hmm. And so in the chat room, just real quick, shout out to Casey. Came in and said, correction, Hal L is Superman's dad. Yeah, but they said Cal, if I'm not mistaken. CAL-EL was Superman's name. But yeah, Hal L is Superman's dad's name. Yeah, I could not think of his dad's name. Woo,
yeah, I think Kal-El was Superman's name.
Yeah, you said Kal-El, but Hal-El. But wait a minute, because she bringing the jewel here. Very similar to Hal-El, Hilal, which means crescent, the signature of Lucifer. Look at the flags bearing the crescent moon and the star
Ouch.
Yeah. Shout out to Casey. Ooh, damn. Yeah. Peel. Yeah. Purple peel. What'd you say, brother?
From what I've read and watched and understood, the man of steel is Kal-El. The father is Jar-El. I'm just saying, but yeah, it's rather here nor there. It's all imaginary. And then besides the crescent, the Hale, there's another way to pronounce it. I can't remember the numbers right now, but also the name for Lucifer in Hebrew is Halel, but it's Haylel. Mm-hmm. And when those people with that particular crescent flag make food, they call their food Halel food.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because that's supposed to be, quote unquote, the equivalent of them that say they're Jews and are not kosher meals.
Right. Okay, so Purple, I need you to bring the definition of the HAL for me. I do want to go up and, dang, they throwing, okay, Brother Lex, this is for you. Woo! Superman's arch enemy number 1 was Lex Luthor, Luther, and Lex is equal to law. So that was interesting. An interesting breakdown of etymology on just the name. So interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. That's I've been told Lex equals law. Yeah, is the human that hates him the most because he is an outsider that they have no power against is Lex Luthor. I mean, if you actually listen to the villains, they write this stuff because they make the argument against.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's fake, but it's whatever.
Right. Well, and then Purple Pill came back and wanted to thank you, Purple Pill, for giving me the etymology of Hal, Hal, is equal to light/sun. Well, that would make sense because isn't Lucifer the light bearer, or am I just making this up?
Crickets. Yeah, you're making it up. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, he's the light bearer. All right. You read Isaiah. Isaiah calls Lucifer out, and he says, he says branches, and you have to look deep in the etymology to find the word sun branches. So again, I have stated many times that I don't care. People think I'm insane. Lucifer is cursed to view the creation he despises. I believe he is a hamster in a ball we call the sun, and every day he has to go this particular morality because his punishment because he wouldn't bow.
Well,
but this is
you'll
my opinion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
I'm done. I just said this is just my opinion. That's all.
Yeah, no. Well, you'll appreciate this next comment from Purple Pill because Purple Pill, after he broke down the HAL is equal to light/sun, and he goes, ever hear of halogen? So that was interesting that you just said being,
Think about Halo, right? Or Leo. one of those Greek gods, right? You look at the video game God of War. This guy, when he opens his mouth and when he opens his eyes, light is supposed to protrude. So I mean, it really, it really depends on what's happened in the past. But
yeah.
You can see he excellent research, sir. Respect
yeah.
to you.
Purple Pill brings it, and so he just added that lex is Latin for law. And then he said Luther is the 15th century Protestant reformist. So that is a very good breakdown, Purple Pill, of the Lex Luthor character. So
the Protestant word is actually protestant. It's protestant.
Makes sense.
Right, because protested against the Christian. Okay, all right, I'm gonna mute myself.
Makes sense. No, excellent drop in input. Excellent drop in input. Shout out to Purple Pill for bringing in knowledge. Shout out to Casey and okay. All right, y'all. So we about 2 hours and 20 minutes. We still ain't talked about nary of a giant. Here we go. But that's okay. That was very, very good conversation. All right, so just real quick, now that we just got through talking about the sun, I am again in The Ancient Giants Who Ruled America, The Missing Skeletons, and the Great Smithsonian Cover-Up by Richard J. Dewhurst. I'm on page 83, and they're talking about, where are they at? This is Missouri. Yeah, Missouri. On page 83, an article from the Associated Press from 1964, and it's called Evidence of an Ancient House. Poplar Bluff. The skeleton of a woman found with pottery water bottle gives testimony to the archaeological treasures on the inches beneath the soil on the Butler County farm. Jim Price, a sophomore student of archaeology at the University of Missouri, made the find September 5th. The skeleton is that of a woman 35 to 40 years old and dates back to AD 800 to AD 1000. The burial pottery is made of clay and the ground river mussels from the Little Black and Black rivers. Also discovered by Price, who holds the title of Director of Archaeological Survey of Missouri for the Missouri Archaeological Survey, was evidence of a house 15 by 20 feet. To the trained eye, the charcoal streaked soil told that the house had been burned. The place where posts once set in a trench was evidence, and broken pot lay on what was once the floor of the house, some 3 feet from the skeleton. 100 skeletons dug up, average 5 feet 6 inches tall, 7 feet 8 inches. So again, that's just evidence that not everyone was tall back then. That it was a mixture of folks. So Kohler has also dug up an estimated 100 skeletons in the shallow graves scattered over his fields. He has been interested chiefly in noting the height of the remains, which he says averaged 5 feet 6 inches. One skeleton measured 7 feet 8 inches. Now, here's what's interesting. Temple to the sun. These Indians worshiped the sun, as evidenced by the large temple mounds clearly visible in the Kohler soybean field. The temple mound is 75 feet in diameter and has a 30 feet high in Kohler's memory. 3 other ancillary mounds located west of the temple mound contained houses for the priests. Outlaying these mounds was the village area, which includes the Kohler's chicken yard where the skeletons was discovered. The site for the village was probably selected for its nearness to water and its high ground. So once again, I did want to bring in the element of how these indigenous ancient populations had their own spirituality system, and some of the temples that were found in 1865 in the other book that we were reading, Cities of Bashan, he also showed temples representing the sun. He also showed temples representing different worship of goddesses. So I did want to bring that to the family's attention as well. And let me see. So Tennessee, if you live in Tennessee, if you are indigenous to Tennessee, we've talked about you before, but you also have rich history as well of ancient giants being discovered in Tennessee. So just real quick, the Natural and Aboriginal History of Tennessee, 1823, by Dr. John Haywood. On the Big Harpeth River, in a bend of the river below the road, which crosses near the mouth of Dog Creek from Nashville to Charlotte, is a square mound, 47 by 47 at the base, 25 feet high, and two others in a row with it of inferior size from 5 to 10 feet high. At some distance from them and near to the eastern extremity of the bend are three others in a parallel row with a space like a public square between the rows. Near these mounds are other small ones to the amount of 13 in all. Okay, so I explained to the family, if you bring into play numerology. Yep, a purple pill. I'm going to get to it about the Tennessee Kemetic. Yes, there is a connection there too. But anyway, with the 13 in numerology, that represents hidden. Okay, so in popular culture today, they try to tell you that 13 is an unlucky number, but behind the scenes, folks that are in the upper echelons of the secret society, or if you want to say into the priesthood, do not view the particular number 13 as being unlucky. So if you think about it, you have the 12 disciples, or representing the 12 constellation, and now recently they've come out, I want to say over the last 3 years or so, saying, oh, we actually have 13 constellations. Oh, okay, so you mean to tell me that constellation was hidden? So just once again give you some insight on how these ancient civilizations use these things as well. All right, so all around the bend, except at a place of interest, is a wall on the margin of a river. And remember, when we discussed last time we were on the air, when we were talking about the cities and the layout of these cities with the ancient civilization that the giants ran, that they always built their temples, always built structures near bodies of water. And we told you water is a current conductor of energy, that they were building these structures on the ley lines. to harness the energy. Okay, and again, I just want to throw in the same thing is being done today with these energy companies. None of the energy that is generated without water. Okay, but they tell you that it's used as a coolant, this, that, and the third. Yeah, part of that is true, but really a conductor of energy. All right. So it says, all right. So within them also are not far from the entrance is a reservoir of water. Its mouth is square and it is 15 feet over. The water in it is nearly even with the surface. So, Purple Pill, you just threw in a chat room about Tennessee being also linked with Kemet, because it is said that Tennessee is the Kemet on this side. And so what he's describing here in this book, or meaning whoever this John Haywood was describing in 1823 of the layout of these mounds, it sounds very Egyptianist / Kemetic-ish to me on how supposedly and allegedly they laid out their particular temples and structures as well. So very, very right on point, Purple Pill. Okay, so there are, besides the entrance, 2 gateways. From thence to the river is the distance of 40 yards. The wall is upon the second bank. On the top of the large mound, an image was found some years ago, 18 inches long from the feet to the head. Soapstone was the material of which it was composed. The arms were slipped into the socket and there retained with hooks. They hung downward when not lifted up. The trees standing upon the mounds were very old. Okay, we also talked about this last time we were on the air, that the way they were laying out this indigenous population, the giants, their civilizations, they were building them on the ley lines, by the waters, and then trees were always associated. Okay, all of these are family energy sources using the natural energy. All right. Okay. A poplar stood on one of them 5 or 6 feet. A large road leads through the entrance, which is at the point where the river turns off to make the bend, and after making it, returns to an opposite point near it. Into the river at this latter point runs a branch from near the first mentioned point, and the branch is wide enough for a road, and from this point to the branches is a deep gully, which is filled up as wide as the road until made level with the adjoining land on the other side. Over this filled up interval passes a road from the great mound between the point where is a high bluff and the branch in a southwardly direction. It is at this time 2 or 3 feet deep and 6 or 7 wide. It crosses the river in less than half a mile. On the north side of the bend and wall is a gateway, and also on the south. On parts of this wall, at the distance of about 40 yards apart, are projected banks like redoubts on which persons might have stood. Okay, so to me, it seems like that they're describing some sort of conductive energy system that they had set up. So I'm not going to read the rest. They give a little bit more descriptive of the that particular layout in Tennessee. So I'm going to pause in case somebody want to put something on it so I can find my next points, because I do have another point that I want to share with Ohioans. Let me just make sure I can give you all some reference points too. So Memphis, if you want to look at the Memphis stuff, it also picks back up on 239. Let's see. Let me just make sure.
It says.
Uh-huh.
Outside of people cleaning up their own doorstep, you need to get familiar with your own land.
Agreed.
All these mounds and other monuments that people come from all over the world here to see.
Yep.
And we don't know nothing about it. We drive
Not a
past
nary
this
thing.
stuff. We drive past this stuff on the regular, on the freeways, and just keep going, never stop at nothing. Always looking to go someplace else and look at something that somebody else done made. Quick to give our few little shekels away to other people. We don't keep the money within our community. We save up all our money and go to Africa or go here or go there and spend thousands of dollars.
Yep, totally agree. So the first part of Tennessee, it starts on 183, and then it picks back up on 239. But just one other thing I wanted to point out. Now, Arkansas, I'm going to just give you a little nugget. A giant, this is on page 189, a giant race, the Indian Mound Chickasaw. They make this up. Chickasaw. Human skeletons 8 and 10 feet in height. Relics of a former race. Right? So this was an article that came out in 1870. 2 miles west of Barfield Point in Arkansas County, Arkansas, on the east bank of the lovely stream called Pemiscot River, stands an Indian mound some 25 feet high and about an acre in area at the top. The mound derives its name from Chickasaw, a chief of the Shawnee tribe who lived, died, and was buried there. This chief was one of the last race of hunters who lived in that beautiful region and who once peopled it quite thickly. Aunt Kitty, so remember this is in 1870, so I don't know what he meant by that last statement. But anyway, Aunt Kitty Williams, who now resides there, relates that the Chickasaw would frequently, and now notice that ba they threw on the end, B-A. Okay, we just talked about the ka and the ba, the spirit and the soul. Chickasaw, all right? Anyway, relates to the Chickasaw would frequently bring in for sale as much as 20 gallons of pure honey in deer skin bags slung to his back. He was always a friend to the whites, a man of gigantic stature and Herculean strength. He was buried at the foot of the mound on which he had lived by his tribe, most of whom departed for the nation immediately after performing his funeral rites. Chickasaw was perfectly honest and the best informed chief of his tribe. A number of years ago, making an excavation into near the foot of the Chickasaw mound, a portion of giant human skeleton was found. The men who were digging became interested, unearthed the entire skeleton, and from measurements given us by reliable parties, the frame of the man to whom it belonged could not have been less than 8 or 9 feet in height. Under the skull, which slipped easily over the head of our informant, who we will here state is one of our best citizens, was found a peculiarly-shaped earthen jar, resembling nothing in the way of Indian pottery, which has before been seen by them. It was exactly the shape of the round-bodied, long-neck carafe or water decanters, a specimen of which may be seen on Gaston's dining table. The material of which the vase was made was a peculiar kind of clay, and the workmanship was very fine. The belly or the body of it was ornamented with, here we go, y'all, a purple pill, love. Hopefully you listening, because you gonna know where this is going. So the belly or the body of it was ornamented with figurines or hieroglyphics consisting of a correct delineation of human hands parallel to each other, open, palms outward and running up and down the vase, the wrist to the base and the fingers towards the neck. Since that time, wherever an excavation has been made in the Chickasaw County, in the neighborhood of the mound, similar skeletons have been found, and under the skull of every one were found similar funeral vases, almost exactly like the one described. There are now in this city several of the vases and portions of the huge skeletons. One of the editors of the Appeal yesterday measured a thigh bone, which is fully 3 feet long. The thigh and the shin bone, together with the bones of the foot, stood up in the proper position in a physician's office in the city, measuring 5 feet in height, and showed the body to which the leg belonged to have been from 9 to 10 feet in height. At Beaufort Landing near Barfield, in digging a deep ditch, a skeleton was dug up, the leg of which measured between 5 and 6 feet in length. Now that's just the leg, y'all, and other bones in proportion. In a very few days, we hope to be able to lay before our readers accurate measurements and description of the portion of skeletons now in the city and the artifacts found in the graves. It is not a matter of doubt that these are human remains, but of a long extinct race. So in this book, if you turn to the next page, he kind of gives some examples of these artifacts. So I'll pause in case somebody want to put something on it, and it'll give me a chance to get to the next section, because I still ain't got to what I want to get to, y'all. All right. I'm going to go to page 242, and this section is holy stones, a calendar, steel, and foreign coins, right? So let me start. What did I say? Yeah, I got to go there, y'all. Here we go. Purple pill, get ready, because I know you're going to have some input on this. As we have seen, there is compelling evidence that America's giants belong to a sophisticated indigenous culture. Along with that, there are strong indications of a very ancient cultural exchanges with other parts of the world. In this chapter, I review reports related to tablets carved with inscriptions, a calendar style, and ancient foreign coins. George S. McDowell reveals hieroglyphic tablets in the possession of the Cincinnati Society of Natural History. All right, so we go. One of the most extraordinary documents I have run across in my research is a newspaper article published in 1891. Okay, so now remember, as we talked about when we did the black nobility, that the changing of power from the melanated black nobles in Europe started taking place in the late 1800s, and they were implementing and setting up the thrones and completing in the 1900s. So in the late 1800s, a lot of this excavation was taking place. So it would make sense on how all of these accounts of these different remains are being found. So I just want to remind the family of that. All right, so the article was published in 1891, which goes into detailed description and translation of tablets in the possession of a historical society museum in Cincinnati. Textiles matching those in Assyria, evidence of surgery, and so forth. The author was a respected writer, and the article was widely syndicated nationally in 1891. So this was from Cincinnati Enquirer, July 15, 1891. Further exploration now in progress in Ohio. Continued exploration among the ancient monuments remaining in the Ohio Valley maintained the general interest in those people whose existence was before the time of written history, whose relationship to the rest of mankind has never been discovered, and who are distinguished simply as mound builders. That is, they are known only as the authors of the most enduring of the monuments that survived them. Those piles of earth, whether raised for surface or scepter or war. The Museum of the Cincinnati Society of Natural History is filled with a wealth of these curious peoples, in many cases inexplicable antiquities, and the explorations which are in progress among the mounds and forts of the Little Miami Valley under the direction of Dr. Metz of Madisonville, Ohio, are almost every day bringing to light additions to the remarkable collection, which is equal only by the one at the Peabody Museum that was filled and still supplied by the same sources. A study of these shows that the mound builders were an agricultural people, industrial in the arts of peace as well as the precaution of war, with considerable education and scientific attainments, and that they had rites and ceremonies of religion and burial as distinctive as any characteristic the people of the present day. And so they go on to talk about rows of the skulls. And I'm trying to get to the tablet. All right, let me make sure, because I'm trying to get to it all, y'all. Oh, shoot, I got to read it. Okay, illustration of the physical characteristic of the people. The Cincinnati Museum has a number of skeletons taken from the mounds around the city and the newly excavated cemetery near Madisonville, And there are rows upon rows of grinning skulls from which the learned members of the society have drawn many lessons touching on the mental qualification of these ancient people. They have determined that the shape of the phareological points preclude the possibility to their having belonged to any Indian of whom our histories furnish us information. There is also in the rooms of the society a piece of woven cloth taken from one of the mounds, in this case found lying close to a skeleton that occupied almost the center and bottom of the mound, so that it must have been placed there with the corpse. That in texture is almost identical with cloth found among the ruins. Here we go, y'all. Dun, 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 dun. Of ancient Babylon and Assyria and the further east. So then it goes. I know. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. There's only so many ways to say it without just coming out and saying it. You know?
Now, what state you in on that one?
This is Cincinnati. This is Cincinnati, Ohio.
So, Genghis Khan and Assyria.
They built up Cincinnati from they talk about that great tree. Weren't you reading that too? It's the great tree they cut down. Yeah. See, that's how long I've been listening now. I'm a fan. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. This reminds me of the Mormons. See, the Mormons say that the Lamanites are the mound builders and the Lamanites fought their brothers, the Nephites. So, and when you know that they got that stuff from Burroughs Cave in Illinois, which Illinois and Ohio would have been connected,
right.
They're only separated by a river. So they're all talking about the same groups, and when they sit there and push this Jesus and the shroud of Turin, and they're sitting there like, oh, he was buried in the center of the room and this cloth, when you go back to Deuteronomy, when they went into the land and Moses fought the giants and Joshua fought the giants, and it just really it's funny because these guys are like, wow, we found bones of someone that was 8 to 10 feet tall, and it's right in your face. It's like if they came through a time machine and saw the NBA, what would they do?
Mm-hmm. Very good point.
In their eyes, is Shaquille a giant?
Yeah, because we talked about that. Because I said it's always a little woman trying to hook up with the 6 foot 8 brother, 6 foot 8 inches tall brother. So it very well could have been the case of that whole fallen angels, meaning the giants or the tall men, getting with the 5 feet inches whatever people. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
If you look at that DNA out of Africa, and the primates that they mated with, chimpanzees and gorillas and orangutan, compared to a man, they really, 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 really
compared to what? Compared to a man, they really, really what? Sis?
Short. See, a lot of people nowadays who you see their DNA coming out of them, they're really, really short compared to the average man. So back then, they would be really, 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 really short because that would be the first generation of those, RM343? R343s coming through. So they would be really, really short, real short. So if they made their history, they would say that everybody else was a giant, and they probably didn't even have any measurements to go by. They just probably said, oh, he's about 10 feet tall.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because
you're saying, sis.
Yeah, because, there's some homes in Wales where the lintel on the door is 12 feet tall. Well, that's only about Shaquille O'Neal trying to go there, you know what I'm saying? So it depends on what your ancestry is. I'm thinking that they considered as giant.
It's
a lot of...
I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
A lot of them out of Africa beings were super short.
Yeah, because I think about, isn't it the pygmies, and I'm talking about aren't the pygmies really, really short, and they're melanated?
They're melanated, but they can get out.
But aren't and the Twa? Okay, yeah, I knew it was two people that were short and that are melanated. Okay,
right.
So that's what I keep saying. Yeah, that's then in the pygmies. So, where I'm trying to go with this is it's different bloodlines, because folks keep thinking that the bloodlines are only, white, black. We didn't already squash that when we put the DNA stuff and show how that the out of Africa theory really happened, and how it was filtered across the bloodlines because it was carried through the Y chromosome or the Roman soldiers. Okay, so these are different bloodlines that we are talking about. Yes,
Lex,
the term giant could have the esoteric meaning as well. Yes, quite a bit. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So, Brother Lex, I listened to one of your videos the other day, and you made a very distinct understanding with Cromwell killing King James or Charles I. He was a marauding murderer. Now, you also made a distinction that it was not just the Roman Empire, but the Roman-German Empire. And those Germans were those Africans that came out of Africa and took down the original ones.
Uh-huh.
So, and that struck me that we can't keep saying Roman Empire, the Holy Roman. You said Holy German Empire.
See, that's the thing. It's hard to explain it. From the books that we read, the Moors were in Spain with kingdom, and they were in Germany with kingdom.
Yep.
When we look at not Sophia, Scarlet, what's the queen? What's it? Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
George III and Charlotte.
She's a Moor, right? She's taken from Spain over to Germany to be the prize, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at the Moors from the aspect that they are Hebrews, they are most likely Moabite. Without just saying they are this, just say that they are. Because if they're already in Spain, okay, then the Africans coming up and invading Spain aren't black African.
No.
It's what it's the Mexicans at the time. They're going by the Visigoth. See, there's Goth, right? And then there's Visigoth. If you sit there and look at the Visigoth, it's going to take you back to the modern day Mexican and modern day Spaniard. But see, they took that from somebody else. They didn't come in being Spaniards, and and then the name changed. It was already Spain before they invaded. So the black people actually named it Spain. So when Charles and James done been living in Spain, they done been living in France, and I got one of my viewers done sent me these books. I haven't read them yet. I listen to you and learn these things. So if he'd have been in all these countries that were more countries, it's no different than he's the same as them to a great degree. Not saying that he's a Moabite, because he's already telling you I'm James, I'm Iamez, or however you would pronounce it, IAN, instead
right.
of I am. Right. So he's already saying me and these people are distinct, and he doesn't say France is the same blood as it. He doesn't say Spain is the same blood as at the time when the melanated people are in Europe. He's just saying Scotland and Ireland in specific places. So to say the Moors are specifically African, I don't think I'm going to be correct in that, because it'd be to ignore these other two kingdoms that they seem to have, and everything's attributed to, especially when you look at the secondary spelling of Moor with the H, M-O-O-H-R or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So as I learn these things, it's easy for me to denounce shit when I'm ignorant to it. But as I learn these things, I have to change some of these things. But it doesn't say that they're Africans. It does seem to show that they somehow conquered places in Africa and set up sprawling kingdoms that were eventually overthrown, just like everything else.
Mm-hmm. Very, very good. Very, very good point. Very good point. We're about to go into overtime. Purple Pill, if you can't join us, thank you so much. Same with Cassie. Thank you so much. You all really dropped a lot of great information tonight. We truly appreciate it, and I hope you come back and join us again. I love the energy and the information that you were dropping in the chat. And Purple Pill said giant can also another term for giant is elder, which that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and so Purple Pill goes, dang, I hate that the chat got to close down at 10. Purple Pill goes, damn it, where did he say? I'm trying to find it because he just responded back to the MOHR. MOHR, Moor, is exclusively German.
Moor, yeah. That is a German. That's right. He's right.
See, this started when I got into an argument with somebody, and I took the time to listen to what they were actually saying. And when I listened to what they were saying to their viewers, they were actually encouraging their viewers to do their ancestry. And of all things, when they did their ancestry, their great-grandfather's name from Germany was Christmas. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's a melanated person with the last name Christmas? And I watched.
Right.
Yeah. So I started watching before that, when you start getting trying to be a minister and trying to preach and stuff, you start looking for ammo. You come across Christmas in the book of Jeremiah. You're not supposed to deal with Christmas, and you start looking up Christmas videos to see what Christians done and other video authors have put out. And they came out with one that's 25 minutes long, and it's the root. I like going for the root of stuff, the origin of Christmas, and it explains to you that Christmas originates from Germany. And when you look at what they show you in history, eventually you're going to see a couple of images of black Vikings. And then it's going to be the black Vikings that were Germans, and it's going to be, I presume, the Moors, because they told you they were great seafarers, and what Vikings known for seafaring. Right.
Yep.
So when you start to erase this image that you've seen of everything, and it's like Vikings are white and Africans are black, and just start reading shit. The reading stuff puts the picture in your mind already. And then when the picture goes against what you're saying, you get this disruption. Once you just go with the flow of things, with what you're reading, not with your perceived version of reality, you're forced to accept the visions that you're seeing. So, look, there might be talks of your ancient relatives, maybe ancestors, but I don't believe a lot of that shit, but I sure do see it. So everybody's belief ain't just for everybody else. Just because I want to take a technical view of everything don't mean that I need to shoot down everybody's spiritual aspect of everything.
Yep.
I'm myself.
And agreed. Thank you, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, and 256, I see you, sweetheart. I'm coming to you. I want to drop this because I know you're going to have some extra to put on this as well. And besides, we missed you last time. So this is what I'm trying to get to, y'all. The sensational Cincinnati tablet. Similar to the textile in its ancient civilization are two other relics in the possession of the society, one known as the conjuring stone and the other as the tablet of light, or more commonly the Cincinnati tablet, because it was taken from one of the mounds marking the site of the city, the former a mathematical, the other a psychological witness. The tablet is a remarkable and curious stone. Two other of the similar hieroglyphic decoration, but plainly of less advanced physiological idea, according to the learned man who examined them, have been found in Ohio mounds, one near Wilmington and the other near Waverly. Okay, I'm trying to get through this because I want to get to the meat.
Okay, so can I say something real quick?
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
So, see, this is the point of what you said earlier. The energy is flowing. It is us that it's cut off. It's kept in a disturbed state, so we can't do things like this. Again, look at what they're digging up. Hey, don't go in the mounds, nigga. I'm sorry.
Right.
But you get what I'm saying? Don't go in the mounds.
Yep.
Right? School is not for you. Right?
Yep.
Like, you gotta see, like they're keeping you. They're keeping all of us from knowing the actions of our ancestors. See how what they dig up is metaphysical. Think about what I just said. Blah blah blah. I can't knock anybody about their spirituality. And then these two stones that were precious, they were metaphysical stones. It's right in your face.
Got you. So on 245, they talk about that there was evidence of brain surgery. So now I got to jump to the holy stones, all right, in Ohio and Illinois, and that's on page 247. But on 246, they talk about hieroglyphics also found in Muskingum County, Ohio. Okay, but the holy stones in Ohio and Illinois. Here we go, y'all. Chow. Let me hurry up. Is it really the 10 Commandments? Now, this was from Ohio State University's web archive. In November of 1860, David Wyrick of Newark, Ohio, found an inscription stone in a burial mound about 10 miles south of Newark. So just so y'all know, Newark is a suburb of Columbus, Ohio. Okay. The stone is inscribed on all sides with a condensed version of the 10 Commandments in a peculiar form of post-elliptic square Hebrew letters. The robe and bearded figure on the front is identified as Moses in letter fanning over his head. The inscription is carved into a fine-grained black stone. It has been identified by geologists Ken Bort and Dave Hawkins of Denison University as limestone. A fossil crinoid stem is visible on the surface, and the stone reacts strongly to HCI. It is definitely not black alabaster or gypsum as previously reported here. According to James L. Murphy of Ohio State University, large white crinoid stems are common in Upper Mercer and Boggs limestone units in Muskingum County and elsewhere. elsewhere. Okay, so that makes sense with the previous page, them finding hieroglyphics in that Muskingum County. All right, and these limestone. Huh?
That's an indigenous name and also a tribe of Indian.
Yes.
Muskegon.
Yep. Oh, dang, where did I go? Dammy, dang.
Like he said earlier, like Sean said earlier, we need to get out of our areas and into these patches.
We really do.
Of forest. And I encourage people to get things like metal detectors and go in areas that aren't where there's no sign posted, because you never know what you're going to find. And again,
right,
as she stated from this writing, they dug in the mounds, and this is what they find, religious stuff, and they say to you, whom most likely are the mound people, stay out of the mounds.
Right. Indeed. Where did I leave off? Okay. We therefore need not look any further than the next county over to find a potential source for the stone, contrary to the previous assertion here that such limestone is not common in Ohio. The inscribed stone was found inside a sandstone box, smooth on the outside and hollowed out within to exactly hold the stone. The inscription begins at the non-alphabetic symbol at the top of the front, runs down the left side of the front around every available space on the back and sides, and then back of the right side of the front to end where it begins, as though it were to read repetitively. So I'm just going to, he actually shows a picture of this stone, you all. So it is definitely looks either Hebrewish or cuneiform inscription. Here's the thing that I'm like, shut the front door. This stone tablet is of a woman. She has an afro, literally, on this stone. She has an afro. Okay, so you can find the picture of her on page 248. And so Sis Cheryl gave me some information. Okay, I know Sis gave me that information regarding the tablets that were found, because it's called, I know Sis, you gave me it. Now I can't seem to find the information. But anyhow, if you want to learn more information on that, you can certainly go and do your research. And it's about the ancient holy stones found in Newark, Ohio. So I'm going to bring on 256, and then I have one other piece that I definitely want to talk about in this giant series that we're going to close out with, because we're going to talk about those Roman coins. So let me bring on 256, because you've been patient and holding on. 256, your line is open. Brother, I know I kept you on hold for a long time. Are you there? 256, 256. All right, brother, I'm gonna mute your line. Dang, I hope you can get back in the queue if you can. Okay, so we're going to go to page 272, because I had to get this in. I had to get it in. Roman coins found at the Ohio Falls. In 1997, the Ohio Museum took possession of the cache of Roman coins that was discovered in 1963 by a construction engineer excavating on the north shore of the Ohio River during construction of the Sherman-Minton Bridge. Coin experts have examined these Roman coins and declared them to be authentic. The discoverers kept most of the hoard for himself, but gave 2 of the coins to another engineer on the project in 1997. The second engineer's widow brought these coins to Troy McCormick, then manager of the New Falls of the Ohio State Park in Clarksville, Indiana, not far from the find. She donated them to the museum. The larger coin has been identified by Mark Lehman, president of Ancient Coins for Exploration, and Reverend Stephen A. Knapp, and a specialist in late Roman bronze coinage, as a phallus of Maximus II from 312 or 313 CE. Despite McCormick's original identification of the coin as 235 CE bronze of Maximus I, the coin of Claudius II is similar in type and period to the recently discovered Roman coins from Breathitt County, Kentucky, but is in a much better state of preservation. The latter coin makes this find several decades later than the Severian period, to which the Roman had, from Calahica, Mexico, I know I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, has been attributed on stylistic grounds. Unfortunately, the discoverer moved south to work on another bridge shortly after the find, and the second engineer's widow could not remember his name, so the bulk of the hoard is lost. For several years, the Falls of the Ohio State Park Interpretive Center had an exhibit about the find that displayed several casts of both sides of the 2 originals, so as to reflect the approximate number of coins originally in the hoard. The 2 original coins depicted, and they show the coins, are in storage and were not on public display. I was informed that the replicas were still on display despite an early report to the contrary, as part of the Myths and Legends exhibit, and they will remain there at least until 2014. And then he just goes on to say that there recently 3 more heavily weathered Roman coins found in Breathitt County were examined, and he identified the 2 thinner coins as Antitonia, a type of bronze Roman coin minted between 238 and 305 CE. The observers depicted an unidentified emperor wearing the distinctive solar crown of the period. The reverse of one coin depicts 2 figures standing facing what apparently is a central altar, while that of the second coin depicting a female standing figure facing left with a cornucopia in her right hand. We cannot make this shit up, y'all. These would originally have had a silver surface, which is long since gone. The third coin is thicker and depicts a bust facing right and wearing a laurel wreath rather than a crown. The reverse, according to Totten, is perhaps a figure of a centaur walking to the right and looking back. Its flan, the metal disc from which the coin is made, seems to be of a North African, and he puts parentheses, or Middle Eastern type. This coin probably dates to a similar period to that of 2 Antitoni, the singular of which is Antitonas. Okay, so again, I wanted to give the family, because we talked about that Roman Empire and how it spread it across the planet, and with it came their particular system of religion and their particular system of commerce. So I just found it fascinating that some of the same things that we see today in the Roman system in the Americas, they use the same type of things with, the solar crowns and the wreath and the woman. Well, in this case now, I guess the woman is representing justice and liberty, but in that case, they put her on the coin. So I'll pause in case somebody wants to put something on it. And it's Sis Cheryl, thank you. She dropped me the other information. So go ahead, I'll pause so somebody can put something on it if you want to.
Columbia, the goddess. In my opinion, I'm not trying to influence her and check. The statue that sits in the water represents the daughter of the Babylonian statue Nebuchadnezzar.
Yes.
So when you look at what's left over, there's a couple of women that are always shown, and Columbia is one of them. And she also sits in many waters. If you look in all the different states that named their city Columbus or Columbia, it's kind of at a mouth of a water. So, coin toss, so 2 cents, I'm
yeah, that's interesting. And that you said that she would be sitting at the base of the water, which would be controlling the current, right?
Right.
Yep, the current, the energy, the currency. So excellent point, brother. Very, very good point. All right, family. This is the last thing because we at 10:21 now. Oh, wait a minute. Sis Cheryl gave me the information about, we went over that. Okay, so the stone that I was talking about, the holy stone or tablet that was found in Newark, Ohio, it was Hebrew letters. Okay. Well, damn, that looked like a woman to me, so my bad. So the robed and bearded figure on the front is identified as Moses in letters fanning over his head. The inscription is carved into a fine-grained black stone that only appears to be brown in the accompanying overexposed color photographs. Okay. All right, I'm just trying to... Okay. All right, so thank you for clearing that up, sis. So that stone represented Moses with an afro, y'all. So it was definitely an afro. So again, you can research that. It's called the Newark Holy Stones, and it was discovered by David Wyrick, Wyrick, in 1863.
It's also called the Decalogue stone. There's only 2 Decalogue stones, and they're both here in the United States. One's in Los Lunas, New Mexico, and that's carved into the side of what they call a hidden mountain. and the other one is the Decalogue Stone that is in a museum in Newark, Ohio. Just a few hours from me. If that MI-16 wants to come and pick me up and mission and talk, I'm just joking.
No, they'll just keep dropping your phone. So thank you, Sis Cheryl. Thank you for that shout out for that. I'm glad you put that in my box so we can clear up that was Hebrew inscription and that represented Moses, and he definitely had an afro. All right, family. So here we go. Woo, yeah, chow. It's gonna be something.
Ed actually talked about that on the History Channel.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Did they talk about the fact that he had an afro?
Oh, no, they didn't get off into that, but they talked about the fact that it was block Hebrew.
Okay, because I'm like, oh, okay, so they not seeing that afro. All right, then, well, whatever. Okay, so the last thing, and we kind of talked about this before, but the author does bring up and I'm on page 275, extreme ancient red-head mummies. Mummies of ancient Caucasian giants with red hair have been found in startlingly diverse areas of the country from Florida to Nevada. Along with these finds, ample evidence of sophisticated cultures such as fine weaving has also been found. Then there are members of the North Dakota Mandan tribe. That to me seems Mandarin, but okay, whatever. Long known from the earliest days for their red hair and blue eyes. Perhaps the magnitude of the mystery they represent has been partially responsible for the lack of general knowledge about them, or has it been because of the defined attempt at suppression of evidence that flouts all previous theories about origins? So let me see here. Giant mummies of Spirit Cave. What do you think the international reaction would be to news that mummies were found in Egypt that predate the earliest ones ever discovered there by more than 5,000 years? Surely it would be front page news from one end of the planet to the other. Yet news that two 9,500-year-old mummies were found in America has elicited barely a whisper. And we've talked about that several times on this show about how the ancient mummies, the ones that were found in, I call them the cocaine mummies, that predates over in Egypt. Okay, and so we know they had to be of the Americas because the coca plant is of the Americas. All right, so you may think this is impossible or that I'm referring to some discredited rumor, but the truth could not be more clearer or more convincing. It turns out that the original discovery was made in 1940, and it has taken more than 60 years to come to light. Perhaps the only reason the public is now belatedly finding out about this earth-shattering discovery is the fact that the remains were not turned over to the Smithsonian, but instead by the Nevada State Museum. The original find in 1940 of two amazingly well-preserved mummies was made by Sidney and Georgia Wheeler, a husband and wife archaeological team working for the Nevada State Parks Division, who were commissioned to study the archaeological effects that guano mining was having on any possible historical remains to be found in the arid caves scattered around the Nevada wastelands. Okay. The site was appropriately called Spirit Cave, and it is located 13 miles east of Fallon, Nevada. In order to find the mummies and the 67 related artifacts associated with the burial, the Wheelers had to dig through several feet of guano droppings that cover the base of the cave. Isn't that bat boo-boo? But anyway, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. And preserve what lay underneath. The two human mummies were expertly wrapped in a highly sophisticated weaving made of tulle matting that exhibited extremely fine knotting and hand weaving not thought to exist until thousands of years later. Because the mummies were sealed in bat boo-boo, the weavings are extremely well preserved, and they are arguably the greatest evidence of an ancient weaving in the world, yet close to nothing is generally known about them. The male mummy was in better condition and was found lying on a fur blanket, dressed in a twisted skin robe with leather moccasins on its feet and a twine mat sewed around its head and shoulder. A similar mat was wrapped around the lower portions of the body and bound under the feet. Skin remained on the back and shoulders, as well as small tufts of straight dark hair, which changed to reddish brown when exposed to light and air. The age of the mummy was estimated at 45 years and its height well in excess of 6 feet. Okay, so I'm trying to see what else I'm trying to read about it here. I think that's about all, because I know we talked about the redhead mummies. Not mummies, but the redhead giants. And I think, Brother Sean, you even sent me something where there was some Indian folklore about the redhead giants supposedly.
Yeah, the Iroquois.
Yeah. Yeah, Iroquois. Okay, but weren't they like warring? It was always some damn war.
Yeah, and the Iroquois were also supposed to have been dragon trainers and dragon riders.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, family, you could definitely read the rest about the mummies, the redhead mummies. It goes on for quite a bit. I'm sorry, go ahead,
so
brother.
when you said dragon, what image did you get in your head?
Pardon?
I was asking her, when you said dragon, what image did she get in her head?
I got an image of like what they're typically calling the dragon with the long tail that almost look
wings.
Dinosaurish. Yep, with wings and with the fire coming out the mouth.
So, so when you said dinosaur, what kept that out of the image? Why wasn't a dinosaur the image versus the dragon, right? Because there's cave drawings, right, showing man by what we call dinosaur, which is probably a dragon, but they feed us these images of wings and fire, when he first said that, I was just like, that sounds a bit like fantasy, but then I was like, wait, no, this is what they always depict on the wall. I mean,
yep.
So, I mean, You know, he always has this voice that reads him. You know, like these points that he brings up the show. You know, but all due respect, though. You know, great points.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. And so on 299, page 299, the author talks about the lost kingdom of the red-haired, blue-eyed Indians. The Mandan Indians are generally found in North Dakota. And since their first contact with French explorers in 1738, this blonde and red-haired, blue-eyed tribe has been the source of intense speculation as to their European origins. In 1796, the Mandans were visited by the Welsh explorer John Evans, who was hoping to find proof that their language contained Welsh words. Evans had arrived in St. Louis 2 years prior, and after being in prison for a year, was hired by Spanish authorities to lead an expedition to chart the upper Missouri. Evans spent the winter of 1796 to 1797 with the Mandans, but found no evidence of any Welsh influence. In July 1797, he wrote Dr. Samuel Jones, thus having explored and charted the Missouri for 1,800 miles, and by my communication with the Indians this side of the Pacific Ocean from 35 to 49 degrees of latitude, I am able to inform you that there is no such people as Welsh Indians. In 1804, Lewis and Clark spent time visiting with the tribe, and it was there that they met the Skagaway, who later aided them as a scout and translator. Okay, so once again, I just want to point out, I'm going to say again, no quote Caucasian foreigner can step on these lands without assistance from people on the indigenous lands. All right? Okay. Then, even later in 1833, Western artist George Catlin, who was also convinced of their European roots, lived with the tribe and painted their village life and religious ceremonies. Although traditional archaeologists reject outright any European heritage for this mysterious tribe, no definitive haplogroup X testing has ever been done on any of the surviving tribe members. And until scientific blood work is performed, all theories as to their original origins are purely based on superstition, epidemic bias, and ill-found opinions.
You know what they're looking for?
Sorry, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
You know what they're looking for? They're looking for. I came across this video a couple of weeks ago that talked about King Arthur left the Welsh area in 10 something. Right? Mm-hmm. That's why they're trying to connect it back to there, because they know that he came over here, and they know that when they talk to all the other Indians, this is the group that's not related to nobody.
Very good point.
There's another thing. There's this guy, Harry Hubbard. He claims that he was part of a dig where they found Roman coins from Alexander the Great and images in plaques. And his stuff's on YouTube, too. His name's Harry Hubbard, if you want to look it up. But,
okay.
Yeah, there's a lot behind that, so I'll just introduce the information to you and just keep it moving.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to read this one last excerpt from the Mandans and reports of red-haired, blue-eyed Indians, Lewis and Clark's journals. The following section regarding the Mandans is from James P. Ronda's book, Lewis and Clark Among the Indians, a modern telling of Lewis and Clark exploration that uses their journals to focus on the interactions with the various Indian tribes they encountered. The center of Mandan village was the sacred cedar post and the open plaza around it. The cedar post represented Lone Man, the primary Mandan culture hero. See, this sounds Asian to me, y'all. On the north edge of the plaza was the large medicine or Okapa Lodge. Hanging on the poles outside the Okapa Lodge were effigies representing various spirits. The Mandan villages seen by Lewis and Clark consisted of about 40 to 50 domestic lodges arranged around the plaza. The social position of each household determined the location of the lodges. Those families with important ceremonial responsibilities and those who owned powerful bundles lived near the plaza, while less prominent households occupied lodges further away. Mandan and Hadassah earth lodges were usually occupied from anywhere between 7 to 12 years. Each lodge housed from 5 to 16 persons, with the average number in a Mandan lodge being 10 persons. At the time of Lewis and Clark, Mandan and Hadassah villages were defended by log palisades. The villages, so familiar from the description of explorers and traders like Lewis and Clark and Alexander Henry the Younger, and 19th century artists like George Catlin and Carl Bodmer, were in fact only part of the settled experience of the upper Missouri villagers. They divided their time between large permanent summer lodge towns and smaller winter camps. The winter lodges, built in wooded bottoms to escape the harsh winter storms, were neither large nor especially well constructed. Lewis and Clark did not comment on the winter camps, and it's possible that fear of the Sioux attack kept many Mandans and Hadassahs within the protection of the more substantial summer villages. Okay, so I'm just going to stop right quick because the layout that he's describing of these particular redhead, blue-eyed Indians is vastly different from the other layouts that we were discussing. So, yeah. So, meaning all the other stuff that we talked about with the mounds and how they were laying things out based on geometry or mimicking mathematic codes or geometric shapes, and how they had things built on the ley lines, always by a body of water, and having trees. I ain't heard them mention none of that. So I don't know about that one, y'all. That's just me. And I'm with the author, and shout out and much respect to Richard J. Dewhurst, because they do need to do, and I know they already done the DNA, they're just not releasing it. It doesn't appear that they are indigenous to the land. Now, that's just me, just based on their account on how things were laid out as far as their living conditions. It's not in step with the other things, the other indigenous folks. So I'm going I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother John.
You already know that if they were found to be indigenous, that would be front page news.
True that.
And as you said, it does sound Asian, does sound like Mandarin.
Yeah, it does.
And just about anywhere you go on the planet now, you see them claiming to be something else.
Right.
Mexican, Puerto Rican, I don't care where you go, you find them.
Right. Which is unfortunate
all down
because
the South.
I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
All throughout South America.
Right.
Everywhere. I mean, they just like little parasites. Maybe you need to put some neem on them.
Yeah, it's interesting with that neem. Like I said, I got it for gardening, and I mixed my little formula up, and then I had got some on my hand, and then I washed it off. This was my first time using it. So I went to sleep and then had dreams about being literally over in India, talking to different Indian people. So I'm talking Asian Indian. And so it was just really weird that I was among all of these Asian Indian people just talking, having general talk. And then I woke up, the next day scratching my head like, damn, that was a weird dream. And then I thought about, oh shit, I was messing around with that neem oil, and the particular neem oil that I got origins is from India. So I just thought that was just fascinating. Okay, so the rest of this, I highly encourage the family to get the book. He does go into Catalina, about some blonde-haired children of the 9 feet tall kings. And then he goes into some insight into the origins. That's the last chapter in the book. So again, that's the ancient giants who ruled America, the missing skeletons, and the Great Smithsonian Cover-Up. The book is by Richard J. Dewhurst. A very, very, very excellent book. I highly recommend it, and much respect to the author for putting it out there, and really much respect for him to even say with the blonde-haired, blue-eyed giants and the red-haired giants that they have not proven any evidence from a DNA perspective of those remains being indigenous to the land. So much respect to him. So we are going to wind down, but before we do, because I want everyone to get a chance, my co-hosts, to give their last words and thoughts. I want to give you all what we're going to come with the new series. Get ready, because it's going to be some hurt feelings on this one. The name of the new series that we're going to start next week is called The Real Pilgrims. So we're going to really get into the early, quote, quote, pilgrim days and the migration, quote, quote, of the Europeans over to the Americas. It is absolutely, positively nothing of what was told. So I'm looking forward to that next week. So I'm going to start with our guest host, Brother Lex. You have any last words for the family?
Yeah. For everybody that listens, I'm sure you have an opinion. And if the hostess is going to give you that opportunity on a platform like this, I would just collect your thoughts, maybe take a couple of notes, and I encourage you to participate more. I love these radio shows because it gives the audience a chance to converse and not only type their opinion in, but verbalize it, because we are people that we've been mistaught to prevent us from expressing ourselves. And with the topic that comes up and it shows us a different version of history, I hope that there are little gems that give us clues on ancestry and where to look so that we can prove to each other, where we're actually from.
Indeed. And thank you so much, brother, for joining us. I have truly enjoyed it.
Thank you for the opportunity. Couldn't do it without it.
Enjoyed the insight, and you're welcome to join us. Just get in the queue like you did this time and chop it up with us. Sis Sandra, did you have any last words for the family?
I just like to say I am so happy to be part of this family this day. This has been a wonderful experience. Brother Lex, good to have you. I enjoyed it. And the rest of the family, they had such great input. I was able to sit still and just listen. It was really
I know. Everybody was bringing it tonight, boy.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Chat room was on fire. Absolutely.
Yes.
Brother, you have any last words for the family?
Yeah. In pursuit of your history, as we mentioned before, about Adrip, and there it specifically says we have the right to those mounds and the burial grounds here. But none of us seem to be pushing the issue.
Yeah.
They're not going to give us any accurate DNA tests that link us back to these lands.
Right.
It's up to us to do it. As long as we keep on waiting for the colonizers, not being color specific, as long as we let the colonizers dictate to us what is and what isn't, we're on the losing end.
That's right.
When you claim a nationality, a culture, etc., you claim the karma and history that goes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
When someone else claims your history, your culture, they're claiming everything that goes along with that, your birthrights and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to know who you are.
Indeed, indeed.
Powerful.
I want to thank all three of my co-hosts. Much love, much respect to all three of you. I want to thank the family callers. I want to thank the chat room for dropping information, and I want to thank the family of listeners for tuning in to us as well. So thank you for being patient with us on this series, and I know it was a lot to it. So hopefully you got a lot of value out of it. So again, we'll be back next week with a new series called The Real Pilgrims. So I'm going to rock out with some music, Master Teacher. I want to say again, thank you to you all, and peace and love. You are truly appreciated. Peace and love, family.
Oh, listen.